Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Thank you for waking us all up out here, for all you do.
Thank you for giving us a voice.
For being out there helping keep the constitutional republic.
I want to thank you for
your support for veterans in the military.
Educating us.
Standing up for conservatism.
Giving us the truth.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Hey, what's up? Good to see you here. Thanks for joining us today on Florida's Voice. My name is Drew Steele. Big D on the other side of the glass. You got Nina in the breaking newsroom. And you hanging out with us if you want to watch at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. And anytime you want to check out the show after hours, Florida's Voice with Drew Steele, the podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your blah, blah. All right. D, how you doing today? I don't even know what day it is. It's so much news.
It's Tuesday, Drew. Happy Tuesday. All is well over here.
But so many things have been happening. It's hard to keep track of the days. You know, it's like one goes into the other as we try to keep up with everything that's going on. You know, yesterday you had the president that officially notified Congress of the strikes against Iran and sent the letter out to Senator Chuck Grassley. He's the president pro tem of the Senate, and he said that no U.S. ground forces were used in the strikes, talked about the mission, planned and executed in a manner designed to minimize civilian casualties, deter future attacks, and neutralize Iran's malign activities. But that's not good enough for Democrats. No. They like the status quo, which is let them continue to do. I'm sure what they're doing is peaceful. I mean, that's what we heard from Barack Obama for the longest time, right? I mean, pallets of cash and drones that were captured, and it's like, we asked for it back, but they didn't give it back. And now they're using it against us and others. We'll get to that in just a second. So that is the first business of the day yesterday. Today, there's more business to talk about because you have, obviously, in Congress on the Democrat side, you have the Democrats taking up the war powers resolution to stop anything that Trump can do into the future, which is, look, what's going to happen? Our forever good friend, Senator John Thune, just saying, how we doing on the Save America Act? Are we doing all right with it? Well, we got other things that are going on in the moment. So here he is being asked about that today.
Congress would need to authorize any military action against Iran beyond the 60-day or 90-day window.
Beyond a 60 or 90-day window. Let's not forget about that. So we got a lot of things we got to cram into a little bit of time here.
No. I think the president has the authority that he needs to conduct the activities, the operations that are currently underway there.
Yeah.
And as you know, there's a lot of controversy around questions around the War Powers Act,
yeah.
But I think the president is acting in the best interest of the nation and our national security interests,
yep.
by ensuring that he's protecting Americans and American bases and installations in that region.
Yeah, and that is true. And there's Senator John Thune from South Dakota, Republican, Senate Majority Leader, saying, yeah, when it comes to this War Powers resolution, look, president knows what he's doing, and awesome. Hey, how we doing on that Save America Act? Did we just forget about that? Does it just go, hey, everybody, bye-bye. There it goes, bye-bye. We're not going to talk about it hold on. Let me start again. D, that's probably not the attitude I should have. Let's put it this way. Sir?
It's the attitude most of us have.
I know. Exactly. With all due respect, can we walk and run a government at the same time? Or chew gum or do government policies and chew gum at the same. You know what I'm saying? You could walk and chew gum at the same time. That kind of thing. We could do it all, right? Can we? So you have that from a little earlier today. You've got the talk now of what is happening next. Israeli airstrikes targeting the Assembly of Experts building in Iran. The clerical body constitutionally gets together there, and they're tasked with finding a successor. Well, there was a problem on the way to the successor's choice. Apparently, the building that they were in got struck today as well. Trey Angst, Fox News.
One of these cluster munition impacts just outside of Tel Aviv, but I'm told by a senior Israeli official that the Israelis just struck the Supreme Council gathering where the Iranians were meeting to choose a new Supreme Leader. This is a significant development and, again, speaks to the Israeli intelligence about this war. They just targeted the meeting in Tehran where what's left of the leadership was gathering to choose a new Supreme Leader.
Are you following this, D? I mean, again, so just for those that are just tuning in and not realizing what's going on here, you had the bombing of Khamenei and the leaders there in Iran over the weekend, and Khamenei, along with 40 others, gone. And then they say, all right, well, who's left? Let's get together in this building, all of us together. And then today, Israel attacks that building. So just struck the gathering where Iranians were meeting to choose the new Supreme Leader. Do you get to a point where it's like, hey, maybe we should talk to them? Maybe we shouldn't do this anymore. Maybe we should have a conversation with the president of the United States. I'm just saying, you're trying to figure out where to go, and everywhere you go, there's a bomb to visit sooner or later. So there's that going on. The president of the United States today was with the German chancellor at the White House. A couple of things that came up. Obviously, people asking about this. The president was not, as he never does anyway, was not mincing words today.
If we don't stop them, or if we didn't stop them, or if we didn't start, they've been decimated. But if we didn't do what we're doing right now, you would have had a nuclear war, and they would have taken out many countries, because you know what? They're sick people. They're mentally ill, sick people. They're angry. They're crazy. They're sick. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you very much. That's all I have to say at the end of the meeting. You can leave now. There's really nothing else to put on that. So they're evil and sick people. And this was something we needed to do because the intelligence that we had, and Marco Rubio was talking about this today, the Secretary of State, again, because there are people who just couldn't understand why this happened. Of course, let's not lean into some of the things that Iran and their proxies, Hezbollah and others, have done to the American people, Khobar Towers and Lebanon and the bombing there in Beirut. And that's from the 90s. I can go on and on and on. Well, one was in the 80s, but we can go on and on and on about how many times Iran and proxies killed American service members, American citizens. But, for the left, it's never going to be enough to hear to change their mind. Here's Senator Tim Kaine. So, D, let's play a little bit of, for everybody that's listening at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram, and those that are listening on great radio stations across the state of Florida, we thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your programming day. D, let's play a little bit of trivia. This is like Jeopardy. Senator Tim Kaine is the answer. What's the question? We do this all the time.
Who was
Yep.
Hillary Clinton's VP candidate
in 2016. That's right.
Ding.
You get a D-ding for that. That's great. You know what's really funny? I talk about it so much, D's never going to forget it. Like it's almost like I'm never going to let you live this down. Well, I'll never let you forget
I had no idea who he was until you messed him up with Tim Walz one day.
Oh, did I? Okay. And I probably got fact-checked real time that day. But anyway, Senator Tim Kaine on his opposition to the Iranian strikes on CNBC.
Any president can take self-defense, but to wage offensive war, the framers of the Constitution were absolutely plain. It's been understood since 1787. You got to come to Congress. That doesn't mean every president has, and it certainly doesn't mean that every Congress has guarded that prerogative. But I've always pledged that I would.
Now listen to this. This is I forget his name. Joe Kernan, right? Host on CNBC.
Right. Okay. But it's almost a moot point. He's at least has probably 60 days under certain provisions to carry things out. And if we did go your route, Senator, what's happened over the past 3 days is impossible. It could never happen. Even informing Congress at times.
Yeah, even informing you guys at times, and things can't get done. You know, look, let's just be honest. We're an honest program. I'm honest. Dee is incredibly honest. Nina over there in the breaking news room is. Well, we're an honest program here at Florida's Voice, and so the point is that when you talk about, I'm just kidding as a joke, Nina. I'm joking. You're the most honest person here. Okay. So the point is that we've seen this before. I played the audio yesterday of the 200 plus times that a reporter was asking Jen Psaki, who was Biden's White House press secretary at the time. Hey, we found out 200 different times that John Kerry, the former senator, was giving all this information to Iran about things that we were doing. And we've got a lot of questions about like why he would give so much information to Iran. No comment. We're not going to talk about that. Oh, okay. So in other words, if we were to give information ahead of time to some Democrats, allegedly, there's really no guarantee that you're going to keep secrets, as it were, because you're really not good at that, especially when you got TDS on steroids and you want to see a president fail. That is, it's tough. And as people have been saying, you realize that Israel dragged us into war. That's been the talking point now. We weren't going to do anything, but Israel was going after him no matter what. So we had to do something. Are you sure that's the case? Because again, here's Secretary of State Rubio today, who was making mention of.
The U.S. was forced to strike because of an impending Israeli action?
No, two things I would say. Number one is, no matter what, ultimately this operation needed to happen. That's the question of why now. But this operation needed to happen because Iran in about a year or a year and a half would cross the line of immunity, meaning they would have so many short-range missiles, so many drones, that no one could do anything about it because they could hold the whole world hostage. Look at the damage they're doing now.
Yeah, look at the damage. He's got a point. Look at the damage that they're doing right now. Okay, you see what has been happening. And then if you wait another year and they're building up more and more ammunition, they're building more and more missiles. They've had plenty, and they've got lots of, I shouldn't say lots of countries, but they have a few countries that don't exactly like us that have more than a willingness to supply them with what they need. So, again, the Secretary of State.
And this is a week in Iran. Imagine a year from now.
Yeah.
So that had to happen. Obviously, we were aware of Israeli intentions and understood what that would mean for us, and we had to be prepared to act as a result of it.
Yeah, we had to be prepared to act as a result of it. And so that is the Secretary of State saying, oh, look, we had to do this because of the intelligence that we had. It's never going to be, number one, good enough, the answers that the Democrats are going to look for because it's Trump. And here's another John Kerry. Before we move on, let me just play this and then we'll move on. Speaking of John Kerry, the audio I played yesterday that I just described about how many times, the 200 plus times, according to an audio tape of him communicating things with Iran that maybe you shouldn't be communicating. We got questions about that. In 2016, here's the Secretary of State for Barack Obama, by the way, John Kerry, talking about, hey, yeah, we give Iran some money, but it's a good thing because
the least worst outcome. But just to put a fine point on it, do you believe that any of that $55 billion ends up in the hands of terrorists?
I think that some of it will end up in the hands of the IRGC or of other entities, some of which are labeled terrorist. To some degree, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every component of that can be prevented. But
what? Okay, so again, just for those who are tuning in for the first time and are like, what did John Kerry just say? Yes. In 2016, when Barack Obama gave, the $56 billion there to Iran, part of the pallets of cash things that were going on at the time. John Kerry, as Secretary of State, when asked, hey, could some of that money end up... When Barack Obama yesterday played the audio clip of him saying, this is going to help the Iranian people. And you know that the Iranian people are mad at the leadership there. And if they get mad at the leadership, then they're going to have to do something to quell the anger. And so they're going to have to help their people, which is exactly the opposite of what happened. And not only that, we see as a result, when the regime was in place just last week, 35,000 people that were killed, people who were rising up and protesting. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a regime that was going to take the money from the United States and be like, yeah, let's give it to the people. No, that's not what they did. But there's John Kerry who's saying, it might go to the IRGC and may, in a way, sort of in a way, might slip and fall and, I don't know, get into the hands of somebody who might have a gun. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, wow. More from the president at the White House today and some other things going on, including DHS secretary on Capitol Hill getting grilled by Democrats today, and some of the back and forth, which was pretty amazing. But let's hit on some Florida stories, if you don't mind. Telephone number. D, I just said the telephone number. Why did I say...
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. It's because it's... When's the last time you heard somebody say the telephone as opposed to the phone number?
3:21 p.m.
Exactly. Thanks so much for that. All right. I asked Nina in the breaking newsroom now. She's not still mad at me. Nina, did I just break every rule of good, millennial Gen Z discussions as far as phones go by saying telephone? Did I just boomer myself? Is that what I did? Okay, boomer. She said, no, that's not kind, but true. Yeah, I boomered myself. It's okay. It happens. All right. Some of the Florida stories that I wanted to get to. Senator Jonathan Martin's going to join us in the 5:00 hour. Florida Senate committee there just passed a bill holding teachers unions accountable. And this was important. He's going to explain a little bit more when he comes on in the 5:00 hour, but let's just say I've known Jonathan Martin for a long, long, long time. And I will say he was pretty heated today. And I don't know if I've seen him this heated. But just to give you a little taste.
We got to do better. If the workers of the state of Florida want to be better represented, their unions have to do a better job. And right now, the status quo, we all agree, is broke. Let's try to fix it. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, and that's it. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Yeah, he was heated. And we like seeing that from our representatives, congressmen and women and senators. It's a good thing. So at least a 60% vote in supporting a recertification of a union like the teachers union, and a 25% quorum is needed because they were doing things. We were finding out the teachers unions and others were doing these quorums. Like, let's say, D, how do I explain this the right way? Let's say you're in a club. I don't know what kind of club would we call it? We're in a club together, D. What's the club?
The radio club.
We're in the radio club. All of us and there's some people that look like me, so clearly made for radio. And there's some people that are geniuses like D, and you can go to him for the expert advice. And there are some people that talk like this. Hey, everybody, it's a Tuesday. It's a two for Tuesday. That kind of thing. And so it's this radio club, and there's 500 of us, and we all agree to have a vote on something very, very important, like the dues we pay to the radio club. And for some reason, only 4 people show up for the vote. And the 3 out of the 4 say, yeah, we have to not only pay dues, but we're raising them over $1,000 a month. Everybody's like, wait a second, there's 500 of us. How did 4 people decide? 3 out of 4 people decide? How did that work? That's kind of like the union thing. Did that make sense? Was that a good analogy?
That makes sense, okay. And it's silly.
It's silly, so we have to stop doing that. And it bans taxpayer-funded union time for politics, so we're going to talk to him about how this is moving along, more details on that, so that was good to see. And then, there's a bunch of other stories I'm going to get to, including some stories out of Orlando and Tampa that I noticed. You know, it's not too long from now, believe it or not, that in Tampa, the mayoral race will be happening. Well, we're just like a year away from who's going to be next running the city of Tampa. And I want to get into it a little deeper than just touching on it right now, because there's an important lesson in the mayoral race in Tampa that goes across the state, across the country, to be honest. And that is these ridiculous nonpartisan races. You can't ask me what my politics are. Why not? I mean, I really need to know. Yeah, what's a nonpartisan race? You can't do it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So have you ever voted Republican? You're not allowed to ask me if I voted Republican. Hey, do you have conservative? No, you're not allowed to ask. These are the kind of things we don't talk about. This is a nonpartisan race. It's a nonpartisan race that's going on in the city where, when have you ever heard of nonpartisanship in politics? Stop it. And so some of the names that have popped up, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the names of some that are running. I think there's like 8 or 9 people that have announced, or maybe there's only 8 people, but some of the things that I wanted you to notice there. And also, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Florida Senate Committee approved this version of a foreign influence bill. Yesterday, the Florida House passed its own measure today, surrogacy rules, updates on Cuba, and it heads to reconciliation between the chambers before it reaches the governor's desk. So it targets foreign influence from, quote, countries of concern and designated foreign terrorist organizations, including disclosure requirements for agents, bans on gift to public officials, ethics training, limits on certain IT contracts. And a big deal here, and a big part of it was also, remember, when we're talking about that, we're looking at foreign influence in the state of Florida. We want to make sure that some of the things that we're hearing about that are going on in places like, Minnesota.
And I'm a knucklehead at times.
You betcha. We don't want those kind of things to happen here. Let's just say in certain states, Florida, we want to keep away from terrorist organizations having any kind of influence, gifts and the like. And we just want to keep an eye on all of that, keep things buttoned up in the state, which we've done very, very well. But then there's also an amendment to this about the quote unquote birthright citizenship issue and bars surrogacy contracts in Florida where any party is a citizen or resident of a foreign country of concern. So Jenna Persons Mullica is a representative who sponsored the amendment, and she was talking about kids born in the U.S. and then granted U.S. citizenship. And then, like we talked about yesterday, the great Gordon Chang, who was joining us on Florida's Voice to talk about this, and going to China, raised under the control of the Chinese Communist Party, and then they come back and all of a sudden they're voting, and all of a sudden they're influencing, and there's a real serious national and state security risk here. So that was good to see, keeping things buttoned up here in the state. So I just wanted to mention that, among other things. I know. What else we got going on? Well, we're getting ready to take a break in just a second. Top of the news from the Florida's Voice newsroom. We'll find out what they're working on over there in just a minute. And before we hit the break, let me remind you that Right Line is our brand new weekend program. We're really excited about it. It's our national program. I host it, and we have everybody in the newsroom joining us. And we get you all the national headlines. You can watch it streaming live 9 to 11 a.m. on Saturday mornings and on great radio stations across the country at Right Line News on X and Facebook to check it out.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey, Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
After my injury, I lost my sense of purpose.
I lost the ability to tuck my daughters into bed.
Homes for Our Troops build specially adapted homes with features that allow our veterans to function independently and focus on their recovery and family. This life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free thanks to our donors and supporters.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a home where I can be a dad.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a brighter future.
We need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Learn more at hfotusa.org.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA, is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Since the dawn of time, man and wildlife have shared a connection. And hunting traditions passed down from generation to generation have connected man to the natural world. From bow and arrow to hook and bullet, as man evolved, our link to those traditions remains. Yet today, our basic instinct to provide and as part of the hunt, to conserve and appreciate the natural world has fallen under attack for the first time in human history. Misguided politicians and radical activists pushing an agenda to end hunting as we know it are leading a war against our heritage. In their misguided policies and protests, they demonize hunters and belittle our way of life. The result? Hunters leaving the sport in droves while our wildlife and ecosystems suffer the consequences as conservation funding dries up. Named after the father of the North American model for wildlife conservation, the International Order of T. Roosevelt is fighting in the arena to protect and expand the rights of hunters everywhere. We will fight back against these forces to make sure that every American has a right to hunt, enshrined in their state constitutions. We will educate the next generation in our traditions and seek to expand accessibility so that everyone can enjoy our pastimes. And we will continue to hold true to our namesake's efforts to protect, preserve, and ensure open access to our nation's wildlands. Teddy Roosevelt's vision for American conservation defines our modern hunting and conservation system. A system upheld by the idea that conservation efforts are crucial to our hunting way of life, and that hunters are crucial to successful conservation.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Look, are you still playing defense with your money? It's time to shift gears and seize the fresh opportunities this new pro-business environment has to offer. That's exactly what certified financial planner professional Alfie Townsend and the team at Advantage Retirement Group do for high net worth investors like you, helping you go on the offense with advanced tax strategies, thoughtful risk management, and forward-thinking financial planning. Imagine enjoying the retirement lifestyle you've worked so hard to achieve, all while staying one step ahead, and in a changing world, you've got to do it. Alfie and his team design personalized strategies to strengthen your financial foundation so you can focus on living life on your terms. Ready to find out more? Text VISIT to 239-747-7470. Again, you can call or text 239-747-7470. Schedule your one-on-one consultation today and see how a proactive approach can help you thrive no matter what the market does next. Don't wait. Call or text VISIT to 239-747-7470 right now.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
All right, anytime you want to check out the program at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, and Facebook. If you want to watch, we appreciate it. All right, top of the news from the Florida's Voice newsroom right now.
Top of the news, Florida's headlines.
Now. AP Anita Padilla is in the Florida's Voice newsroom. Let's find out what's up. What's up?
Hey there, Drew. We're keeping our eye on what's happening in the legislature in Tallahassee, including lawmakers passing a major farm bill, the House taking on foreign influence and surrogacy rules, and public employee union changes. Those move forward. Let's start right now with what took place today in the House. Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson calling it a major victory for farmers and families as lawmakers in the House approved today the 2026 Florida Farm Bill, SB 290. That's Senate Bill 290. It's a bill that passed 94-10. And of course, Simpson is praising Senate President Ben Alberton, House Speaker Daniel Perez, and bill sponsors Senator Keith Trunow and Representative Danny Alvarez. Simpson says this is a bill that supports the people who feed the state and the nation while defending rural lands and natural resources. The legislation includes measures to protect the use of gasoline-powered farm and lawn equipment, limits high-density development on rural and conservation lands. It makes Farmers Feeding Florida program permanent. It expands agricultural land use, supports vets with loan repayment programs, and strengthens public safety with penalties for cheating on commercial driver's exams and banning those signal jamming devices. Senator Trunow now says that the bill safeguards Florida's Agriculture Foundation, and Alvarez emphasize freedom and local control. That bill now heads to the governor's desk for consideration. In other news, the Florida House also passed House Bill 905. Now, this is a foreign influence bill with new surrogacy rules and Cuba updates. The bill requires disclosure from agents of countries of concern. It bans gifts to public officials, and it limits certain IT contracts. Now, there is a key amendment, and this also bars surrogacy contracts if any party is from a foreign country of concern, like China or maybe Cuba. The sponsor in this case is Representative Jenna Persons Mullica, and she said the change is going to address some national security risks. Opponents, of course, warned that it could disrupt families, but that bill also lets the governor temporarily suspend state laws. It restricts trade on interactions with Cuba if federal policies do change. The House and the Senate must reconcile their differences before it goes to the governor. And on the union front, a Florida Senate committee advances a bill. This is a proposal to overhaul the public employee union rules. It requires unions to win support from a majority of all eligible employees if dues-paying membership falls below 60%, and it expands the definition of strikes and penalties. All right, that's it for now. I'll come back in our next hour to tell you more about what the Republican Study Committee is saying to congressional Democrats about blocking the funding for the Department of Homeland Security, especially with everything going on right now in the world. I'm Anita Padilla, the news director here at Florida's Voice. Drew, let's toss it back over to you.
All right, AP, we appreciate you there in the Florida's Voice newsroom. Anytime you want to check out the stories that they're working on, you can go to flvoicenews.com. That's Florida's Voice, the website. And just wanted to say that I'm sorry that I pulled the microphone down while you were speaking. That was probably a bad... Hey, she probably didn't even know. She just walked away. Never mind, anyway. I just felt bad. Sorry, D. I felt bad. I pulled the microphone down for a half a second, and I saw that she was still talking. It's just a bad thing.
It's cool. She just went with the flow.
Yeah, she did. She does. She's good at that. Anyway, I just wanted to point this out quickly. I'm sure that everybody that's listening to the sound of my voice here in Florida's Voice across the state of Florida and across the world on FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, and Facebook, all want to know what the former CIA director John Brennan thinks about these these attacks on Iran, because everybody knows that the first place you want to go is to the person who was a huge major part of a Trump-Russia collusion hoax against a sitting president, against a candidate, and against an American citizen. Because, why not? Well, because we really don't care what he thinks. But MSNB, whatever they call themselves these days, what is it, MS Now? Okay, they want to have him on to get his thoughts. Like, why? What about the thing that I just said? Okay, anyway, so he still has a job. So what does he think? I'm sure that he is, well, you're probably going to guess.
Well, Michael, I think this is the second time this century that the United States has made a drastically bad mistake.
A drastically bad mistake. Some people would say that in this decade or century, one of the drastically bad mistakes was voting for Barack Obama for president of the United States, somebody who fundamentally could destroy things here in this country, and the worries about the Constitution.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying that you really weren't the best of candidates and out there, and some of the things that you did, including the Trump-Russia collusion hoax and bringing in John Brennan, the CIA, and...
Shut up.
Okay, we'll move on. So anyway, that was his thoughts right there for you. So if you were wondering what he was thinking, here's what you need to know. Don't worry about it. Of course, it's going to be negative. He said something else that I might mention later on that has to do with anybody who was for the theocratic leadership in Iran is equivalent to MAGA. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not making that up. Just a bad look. All right, so we move on from that to what happens next, everything that has been going on. James Fitzpatrick is joining us right now on Florida's Voice, Army veteran, director of the Center to Advance Security in America. I like that. I like a secure America. And I like James. How are you, sir?
Hey, Drew, I'm doing great. Good to be here with you.
Oh, I appreciate you. So, yeah, you listen to John Brennan and you hear what he has to say. And, of course, some are going to look at this in a way that is mindful of who's president of the United States, because they do have this thing against the president. But at the same time, if the intelligence was saying, and we've seen enough evidence to know that there was going to be this buildup of conventional weapons to be able to protect themselves and to be able to do more that way, Iran, as has been described. I mean, when it comes to everything that's going on right now, I don't know how this isn't the right time, especially with this president. Am I wrong about that?
No, I think you're exactly right, Drew. I think this was a really a generational move, foreign policy move by President Trump. It's the kind of thing that past presidents, frankly, just weren't brave enough to do and to execute, although they knew it was a problem. But this president took it on and was a bold leader in getting it done. And the intelligence showed that it was the right thing to do. Look, I think we saw from Secretary Rubio yesterday that they had intelligence that whether they were hit by us or not, if they were hit, they were going to strike us. They were going to strike potentially. They were developing weapons that could reach the continental United States. They were going to strike our military assets in the region or our military members in the region. And from someone who had served overseas, that's a scary thought. It would be a much different story if we're waking up the next morning talking about thousands of members of the military being killed. And it would be a much different tune the mainstream media would be singing. So the president made the right call and the right time.
Yeah, I really do feel like we have a very tight window to get things done to secure the homeland. And you got the 26 midterms coming after that. All bets are off as far as what could possibly happen. So we have a small window. And again, the key to everybody that's listening, including you leftists who listen, I know I get the emails, that it's about securing the country. It's about keeping us safe. It's about understanding the years and years, the 47, if you will, of years where we've had American service members and citizens killed by Iran and their proxies. And we know this. And so these attacks, the way this is playing out, then you have the next part of it, which is, what do we do in the region? How do we make sure that we have a leadership team in place in Iran that is going to be at the least moderate, at least to be able to have a situation there that's been different? What do you foresee? What do you think should happen?
Yeah, well, to your first point, look, I think we have to understand who we are striking. We are striking a regime that is the world's largest sponsor of terrorism, that has done things even recently. They've plotted and planned an assassination attempt of President Trump. They were the main financial backers behind the October 7th massacre, which killed 46 Americans and took 12 hostages. And then historically, as you mentioned, over the past 47 years, they took hostages back in 1979. They killed service members in Beirut, Lebanon, at the Marine barracks, right? So this is, and you could go on and on and on. Yeah. So this is a regime that has years of heinous murdering of Americans, a record of that. And as it relates to moving forward, hopefully, the new regime, whenever that comes to be, if they would stop coming together and in these large groups, and I think we're on the third iteration of them trying to appoint a leader and them being killed, right? So if a new regime does come about, hopefully they'll get the message who's in charge in the region, and it's not them anymore. I think another point here is that the Saudis coming out immediately upon our strike in support of this, I think that is a huge credit to the president and his administration, whether it's the prior administration, 45, or now, in that the work that they've put into that relationship and, getting them on board, because as you know, that's the key to the rest of the Arab states. And Iran is isolated right now. And I think they know that, and that's why they're, firing off missiles against even their own allies. So I think as we move forward, they're going to realize how isolated they are, and it's going to be difficult for them.
Yeah, I talked to someone yesterday who has family in Lebanon, who's from there, and talking about what's going on specifically right now and in the region. And more I hear about people saying the region is tired. They're tired of the wars. They're tired of the bombing. They're tired of all of it. They've been, but now they see an opportunity. And look, you have, I think the Gulf states are an example, right? The coming together where Iran thought, hey, if we go after these military installations that are in these countries, well, they're still sovereign nations. And so what did you think was going to happen? And it was quite the opposite reaction. And I think that's part of what has been this attitude that's been there for a while. But now they see a leader that can make something come to fruition, which is we're just tired. We want to be able to live our lives in peace and not look over our shoulders and wonder if a bomb is coming next,
That's right. Yeah, I think the vast majority of the people in the region, I spent some time in Kuwait and Jordan, and I can say from my experience there, the vast majority of people there are peace-loving people and just want to, just like we do, want to raise their families in peace and practice their religions in peace. And I think that goes for a number of the other countries in the region. So I think you're exactly right that this is the right time. They realize President Trump is the right leader that has the bravery and the ability and the competence to execute this sort of campaign. And it's a credit to his administration.
Yeah, I would agree. And, there are certain times when you wonder why things happen. You think, you had what Democrats did, I believe, in the 2020 election. At least we can talk about it freely now, and the concerns there. And then you wonder how all of the things have come to fruition into this moment in time. And sometimes that's the way it was meant to be. It was meant to be that all of these things would happen. So there would be the opening of the floodgates of not only transparency and being able to see what they did to the president in the past, but to have somebody in this moment, in this time, right now in 2026, that would have a vision that many people in this country didn't have before. I'm speaking of presidents from Republicans and Democrats who wouldn't make this move. So I think now is a very important time. We got about 30 seconds. I'll give you a last word on this.
No, I agree with you. Look, I think the president is totally clear-eyed. He is unabashed in his support for our allies, and frankly, the America First principles that he espouses. Everything he's done up to this point has protected the American homeland, protected the American assets abroad, and military members abroad. So it's consistent with what he has always talked about, governed on, and campaigned on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, sir. It was great to see you. All the best. God bless. Hopefully we can do this again soon, okay? All right. That's James Fitzpatrick joining us here on Florida's Voice, Army veteran, director of the Center to Advance Security in America. We appreciate a few minutes with him here on Florida's Voice. All right, 866-588-8303 is the phone number. Live 3 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then don't forget Right Line, our weekend program. We got a brand new show, national show, 2 hours, 9 to 11 a.m. We stream live on social media at Right Line News on X and Facebook, and then streaming across the world, across the country on great radio stations over the weekend as well. All right, we'll be back.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Did you know VA home loans are a key to home ownership for those who served?
The first moment I walked into my home, I could hear my footsteps echo off the back wall. The first thing I thought in my head was, man, furniture is going to be real expensive. The VA not requiring any down payment prior to buying the home allowed me to take that money I had budgeted to go out and buy furniture, food, cleaning supplies, pretty much everything I needed. Purchasing a home is scary, but ultimately it's not impossible, and they make it so that anybody can do it.
To learn more, visit va.gov/home loans.
For 25 years, the Library of Congress Veterans History Project has collected and preserved the experiences of America's heroes. From original letters to oral histories, these first-hand accounts bring history to life, one voice at a time. With over 120,000 stories collected, each reveals the courage, sacrifice, and service of our veterans, but many remain untold. Help our nation reach 125,000. Share a story. Ensure a legacy. Visit loc.gov/vets today.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
When I was 19 and I was going to shows, I was not thinking about permanent hearing loss. I wasn't thinking about tinnitus.
Sometimes my kids are having a conversation with me and that ringing starts in my ear. They're talking to me and I hear their voice, but I can't focus on what they're saying.
The audiologist, he told me that most of his clients are not old people. They're kids that have their earphones in.
I have a lot of regret about not protecting my ears sooner.
Protect your ears at all times, no matter what. It's not something you can get back.
Some journeys start small, with small pause and big purpose.
Look how little fly, you sweet girl.
Every great partnership begins with the first step.
Yeah, let's go.
Guiding them through the world so one day they can guide someone through life. With shared experience, confidence grows, and the path becomes clear. It takes time, patience, and love. But the reward lasts a lifetime.
Hey, good girl, Dad.
You don't just raise a puppy. You raise a future. Become a Dogs Inc. puppy raiser. Give a dog a purpose. Give someone hope.
Learn more at dogsinc.org.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Listen, I've lived in Southwest Florida long enough to know that when I needed countertops, you go to the best. Who's the best? Rock Solid on J&C Boulevard in Naples. First of all, Rock Solid's consultants, I wasn't really sure what I wanted, but I knew that they were knowledgeable, gave me all the information I needed to make the best decision. I love that fabrication is done on premises. It's not like they're subbing out the job to some third party, right? If you're looking for countertops, backsplash, you know where to go. Rock Solid, J&C Boulevard, Naples.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
I don't really feel like a U.S. champion just because of the whole situation that went down at the end. So, yeah, those girls were like pretty far ahead of me. So I was pretty pretty sure I was coming in fourth, but I saw Carrie make the wrong turn, and they like corrected her like fairly quickly compared to the lead pack. And then the directors were like, go straight. So I guess I was the only one who went straight at that turn.
Okay, I can't. First of all, the bass in the background is making me crazy, D. That was a little too much. But did you hear about this drama at the U.S. Half Marathon Championship in Atlanta?
Nope.
Okay, so let me explain what happened. So there's video all over the interwebs. Thank you, Al Gore. And I guess there were a group of 4 runners who were in the lead. And as they're in the lead, you know, you're traversing around downtown Atlanta. And so somebody says, you know, go that way. And then there's a motorcycle and a police escort to make sure, you know, here's the leaders, here they go. So the leader's like, all right, I guess I go that way. And then 3 of them followed her. And then that person talking, Molly Bourne, decided, well, no, I think you go straight. So she went straight. Basically, the ones that were in the lead got taken off course. That wasn't the direction they were supposed to go. So it pretty much, I mean, you don't know how it would have ended, but the girl that was in front would have won $20,000 in prize money, may very well have won the whole thing, although you just don't know. And so that was the voice of the person who ended up being in first place. And she's pretty much like, listen, I knew which way to go. I had to go straight. I can't help it that they went that way. So I went this way, and I don't really know what to tell you, but I won. Pretty much was her attitude. And I guess if that's the attitude, then I ask you, D, is that the right attitude? Like, what do you, I mean, is she in a really bad spot? Like, how do you react to that?
You wouldn't know unless you're in that spot.
But you made the right decision, but they didn't make the wrong decision. They were just told incorrectly which way to, I say we just do a do-over. We got to run the race again.
It's a mulligan.
Right, it's a mulligan. You got to do it again. You can't just let the one that went the, because... Yeah, I just thought it was funny. There was a little bit more that she said. I don't know if I could put up with the boom, but let me just hear this.
But yeah, I guess I was just very, very lucky, but it doesn't feel like I won.
Yeah, I guess I was lucky that I went straight instead of going with them. But I don't know what to tell you. Do you want me to feel bad? What am I supposed to? Yeah, that is a really tough position for that person to be in, knowing which direction to go. So anyway, that was just weird. Okay. This isn't weird. This is the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who was talking about what is to come. And get ready, because there's a lot when it comes to Iran and what we're going to see next.
You know, you're about to see, we're going to unleash Chang on these people in the next few hours and days. You're going to really begin to perceive a change in the scope and in the intensity of these attacks as, frankly, the 2 most powerful air forces in the world take apart this terroristic regime and defang it and take away its ability to threaten its neighbors or hide behind a zone of immunity that allows them to develop their nuclear ambitions. This terroristic, radical, cleric-led regime cannot be ever allowed to have nuclear weapons. We saw what they were willing to do to their own people. They were willing to slaughter their own people in the streets. Imagine what they would do to us. Imagine what they would do to others. You're about...
Yep, so there you go. So that's the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who just earlier today said, look, we're about to unleash Chang on Iran in the coming hours and days. So things are going to start to ramp up, everybody. Wow. What does that look like? And what is to come? Well, we keep an eye on it. There's more on this to come. Anytime you want to call, 866-588-8303. My name is Drew Steele. This is Florida's Voice.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans facing a real challenge.
I have PTSD.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to anyone.
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
But treatment can turn your life around.
Treatment has really saved my life.
To learn about PTSD and how treatment can help you, Call your local VA medical center or visit ptsd.va.gov.
The best words to hear at the TSA security checkpoint? You're good to go. So check before you jet. Avoid delays at TSA security checkpoints by making sure you have an acceptable form of ID. That means a real ID, passport, or other acceptable forms of identification.
Visit tsa.gov/ID to check the full list of acceptable IDs. Avoid travel delays by checking ID requirements, and you're good to go.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele. Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Congratulations on your show. Congratulations on your new show. Big deal, huh?
That's why shows like yours are so important.
We have an independent county elected sheriff that's the head of law enforcement in Jacksonville/Duval County. And I know how to work toward making this city safe.
We can't be shy about speaking on things such as faith and politics. We have to remember, in a free society, the public square belongs to all of us.
I'm not interested in North Florida looking like Orlando or Miami. I love where we live, but I think that good jobs means that people that live in this district can stay in this district.
Fishing and hunting is funding a large part of your conservation projects in Florida, and we want to make sure that those are forever preserved.
And the problem with this industry at this point is that they actually target our youth. You can see it in their marketing strategies where it's bright colors, fun names.
And that's going to be endlessly litigated.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
What does life after service look like? Kicking back? Taking it easy? We believe it looks a little different. Fighting for all veterans. Making sure they get the benefits and care they've earned. Rebuilding communities after disaster strikes. And adapting to support today's veterans. Meeting them where they are. The VFW. Still leading. Still advancing. Still serving. Get involved at stillserving.org.
I can trace family members who served from World War I to today, each one helping shape who I am. My family chose to share their stories with the Library of Congress Veterans History Project. Voices, letters, and memories that bring their service to life. Searching for their stories was easy. You can discover powerful stories too, told through the voices of America's veterans. Explore, remember, and share at loc.gov/vets.
Half of young adults are at risk of hearing damage from loud sounds. So why is this happening? We know not to bake in the sun for hours and to get our eyes checked regularly. We buckle up to save lives. And we know that smoking kills. So do poor diet choices and poor life choices. But why are we so reckless with our hearing? We take hearing for granted. Hearing damage from loud sounds is permanent, but preventable. We take common sense steps for our health every day. Let's make hearing part of it. Wear earplugs. Turn it down. Give your ears a rest. Love your ears. Learn more at hearinghealthfoundation.org. Keep listening.
Hey, it's Drew Steele, and I have to tell you, when my wife and I talked about getting new kitchen countertops for our house, we know who to call. Rock Solid Countertops and More, 2240 J&C Boulevard in Naples. And they have been absolutely amazing. Hugo and the team are the best. The workmanship has been absolutely incredible. The install was so easy. The process was perfect. Taking everything out, bringing the new stuff in. The quartz countertop is unbelievably beautiful, and my wife is super happy, I'll tell you. You know they have the best quality and selection of marble, quartz, granite, and a one-stop shop for all of your kitchen, outdoor, and bathroom needs. I've known it for years. I've lived in Southwest Florida 40 years. There was really only one place I was going to go. It's Rock Solid Countertops and More. I would suggest you give them a call, 596-7676. They're at 2240 J&C Boulevard in Naples. Find out what they can do for you. Countertops, cabinets, plantation shutters, they do it all. Rock Solid Countertops and More.
The other day, a man called saying my electric was way past due. He threatened to turn off my power if I didn't buy a gift card to pay the bill. I said, look, fella, I wasn't born yesterday. Gift cards are for gifts, not for paying bills, and I'm sure as heck not buying you a gift. So I hung up on the crook, and my lights never went out. Know the signs of scams and leave scammers in the dust. If someone asks for a gift card as payment, it's likely a scam. A public service message from the Better Business Bureau.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Thank you for waking us all up out here, for all you do.
Thank you for giving us the voice.
For being out there helping keep the constitutional republic. I want to thank you for your support for veterans in the military. Educating us. Standing up for conservatism. Giving us the truth.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Well, hey, everybody. Glad you're joining us today on Florida's Voice. My name is Drew Steele, Big D. On the other side of the glass, you got Nina in the breaking newsroom. And you hanging out with us at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. All right, keeping an eye on the latest. The U.S. consulate in Dubai has been evacuated prior to an Iranian attack drone that slammed into it. Just a little while ago, we had this information. The talk was about this happening, and Trey Angst, who's there in Tel Aviv, was commenting on this, so I just wanted to play this audio.
Good afternoon. We're following these reports out of Dubai that indicate an Iranian drone hit the U.S. consulate in Dubai. We understand that the building and many of these surrounding buildings had been fully or at least partially evacuated. And again, these are just initial reports coming in. Fox's Jennifer Griffin also confirming that a hit did take place in this area. As we look at this story and the Gulf countries under threat, just in the past 24 hours, this is the second hit on a U.S. consulate or embassy in the Gulf. Remember, overnight in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, 2 Iranian drones hit the compound, but that compound, again, also was evacuated beforehand. As this is taking place, it raises real questions about air defense systems around these areas. And I reviewed a couple videos online that are circulating, and it indicates this is an Iranian drone, a very similar sound to the same Shahed drones that the Iranians sold to the Russians in Ukraine. You could often see them in Ukraine when they would fly quite low, and it sounds almost like a loud lawnmower buzzing through the sky, and then ultimately there's an explosion. And again, a lot of different videos circulating from this area of Dubai showing that the area of the U.S. consulate in Dubai is on fire. There's black smoke rising from this part of the city.
Wow. All right. So he was talking about Trey Angst, the chief foreign correspondent there in Tel Aviv for Fox News, as he was describing. I mean, it could be the indiscriminate fire. It could be the military leadership that's left in Iran targeting UAE and, of course, targeting other places as well because of the agreements, maybe the Abraham Accords. Maybe it's because, unlike maybe what they thought when they first started to bomb military installations, ours in these countries, Bahrain and UAE and Saudi Arabia and others and Qatar, that unlike what they thought was going to happen, this coalescing together of the Gulf states against the U.S., it was quite the opposite. So you have a country now that has no problem alienating its neighbors, doesn't have any issue with doing that. You have what the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, described earlier today as unleashing Chang on Iran in the next coming days. And so there are going to be stepped-up attacks on these different targets in Iran to defang them, as he put it. So more breaking, and as we get it here on Florida's Voice, we'll have it for you. Absolutely. All right, some of the other stories that are going on. Let me get to this. On Capitol Hill, the DHS Secretary Noem was being questioned by senators. The talk was about child trafficking, was the concerns about what is going on now and what has happened before. She was in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee and talking about ICE deployment, was talking about the all different questions with regard to ICE and deportations and so much more. So there was a lot that was taking place. And look, there were some that didn't like what she was going to describe. You know, it wasn't too long ago that we were hearing about and learning about some of the things that were going on in the former Biden administration and the concern about these unaccompanied minors, these children here in the country, 300,000 plus that went missing. And that was part of the discussion today as well. It wasn't too long ago when Representative Eli Crane was questioning people there on Capitol Hill about this very issue and this unbelievable exchange.
So you're telling this committee that the Biden administration, while they were letting all of these unaccompanied minors into the country, and as we've talked about today, they weren't keeping track of them, they issued these kids a hotline that they could call if they had trouble with the sponsor family that they were put with. And you're saying that 65,000 calls to this hotline designated to protect these kids went unanswered? Is that what you're telling this committee?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Just unbelievable things that we have learned about what the Biden administration was and was not doing. 65,000 calls went unanswered. Only one person was assigned to answer the calls. And now we come to find out today that the Biden administration was paying the child traffickers at the border. I mean, is that possible? Did that happen? Kids were living with predators. I mean, so much was being discussed today on Capitol Hill. It was absolutely unbelievable. I think this is a little bit of what the DHS secretary had to say about that.
Alien children were lost by the Biden administration, not tracked. We've located about 145,000 of them, and we've done that through the investigative work of our Homeland Security Investigations team. They are phenomenal at the work that they do, and they specialize in child trafficking, sex trafficking, and finding individuals that would perpetuate that harm against our children. The one thing that has been challenging is that under the Biden administration, the government paid sponsors in HHS in order to host these children. And those sponsors, many times, we found instances where they trafficked these children themselves. So under that administration, we not only had children that were in this country as a part of a program, the government was paying individuals that were knowingly trafficking them and abusing.
Can you believe that? Now, it's horrible. It's horrific to hear and understand when the DHS secretary is in front of the Senate Judiciary and she's talking about these issues. Just remember that Democrats want to change the subject. They want it to be about something else. They wanted to get off that topic, that issue, which is very real and very true, and get to something else. Like when Senator Coons was asking Kristi Noem about his concern. Okay, get this. He's all concerned about what she just described. No, that's not what he was talking about. He was concerned about ICE at polling places. Really? After hearing that, this is where your concerns lie?
You rule out the deployment of ICE or CBP to polling places this November.
There are no plans to have ICE officers at our polling locations. And
I'm glad to hear that, but would you rule it out?
would you say it will not happen?
Do you plan on illegal aliens voting in our elections?
Oh, okay. And scene. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it right there. That's at least for that part of the discussion. There were other things that were discussed as well. And just understand, there was a lot of attacks against the DHS secretary. There were a lot of attacks against ICE. But, ultimately, the things that she was talking about, the discovery that we found out about, the issue of the government paying individuals that were knowingly trafficking these children, even more than that we'll get to later on in the program. But just understand that when you have the Senate Judiciary Committees, you have the House Oversight Committees, you just have to be ready for what you're going to see and what you're going to hear. And a lot of it is going to be the opportunity to have viral moments on both sides. But look, you want to get down to the truth and what is going on in this specific instance, for example, and what she's describing. But just know that that's also what you tend to see. The attacks, the looking for these viral moments, if you will. And so that's what you were getting pretty much from the left today. All right, we'll get to that in just a minute. But in the meantime, any day that we can talk about the Supreme Court and some of the rulings and have Zach Smith joining us right now on Florida's Voice, of course, legal fellow of the Heritage Foundation, heritage.org. It is a very, very good day. So it's good to see him too, which is also very nice. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Drew. Not many people say it's good to see me, so I'll take it any day of the week. All
right, well, there you go. It's always good to see you. So yeah, a lot is been happening in the. I was looking at some of the SCOTUS briefs and some of the things that were happening yesterday, and I was like, oh man. I mean, I've got to get you on. First of all, can I just ask about this? When I heard the conversation and the oral arguments about, I guess, I'm trying to remember which case it is, and you'll tell me in just a second, where Justice Gorsuch was talking about the habitual drunkards in the old days of America. I know I see you laughing, and I was like, wait a minute. What is this all about? Why is he talking about habitual drunkards in old days? And what's happening with the court? So what was going on with that specific instance there in that case?
Yeah, so that's an exchange that's gone viral on social media, rightfully so, because it highlighted, I think, the copious amount that many of our founding fathers consumed on apparently a semi-regular basis. But this case actually didn't involve alcohol. It involved illegal narcotics and whether users of controlled substances, illegal drugs, can lawfully be banned from possessing and owning firearms. This is a very important Second Amendment case. Essentially, a gentleman named Ali Khamenei, who the government suspects of having terrorist ties. He was actually convicted under a statutory provision, 18 U.S.C. 922 G3, which is the same provision Hunter Biden was convicted of violating before he was pardoned by his father, Joe Biden. But essentially, that provision of federal law prohibits unlawful users of controlled substances from possessing firearms. And what Mr. Khamenei alleges is that that provision violates the Second Amendment. And so that is what the justices are being asked to decide.
Yeah, and it's sure, I mean, I could be wrong about this, but listening to Justice Gorsuch and some of the other audio that's out there, you kind of feel like he was leaning into the Second Amendment portion of the program, if you will, as opposed to, well, as he was. By the way, for those that don't know the habitual drunkard thing, I would play the clip, but it's a little long. But basically, he was talking about 8 shots of whiskey a day only made you an occasional drunkard back in the day, talking about James Madison drank a pint of whiskey every day. Like, wow.
Well, and the reason that matters, Drew, is because what the Supreme Court has said, the way justices are going to look to see if this provision violates the Second Amendment, they're going to look to the history and tradition of our country. And so what the government is arguing is that there is a long historical tradition of disarming those who are unlawful users, habitual users of controlled substances. And so what the government says is that while illegal drugs weren't such a problem at the founding, habitual drunkards were a problem. and that the actions the government could take at the founding were much sure than this provision to temporarily disarm those who are addicted to or unlawful users of controlled substances. And so that's why we heard some of that back and forth about what qualified as a habitual drunkard, how much did someone have to consume, how often do they have to consume intoxicating liquors. That's why that habitual drunkard, that's why it matters for this particular case.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And that we were hearing arguments about. So if we hear arguments right now about this, that is for the next session, is that, or do we get that? When do we get a decision on that?
Yeah, we should get a decision before the end of the court's term. The Supreme Court term will end in June of this year. But keep in mind, Drew, the justices still have a number of consequential decisions they have to hear arguments in, a number of consequential decisions they still have to issue opinions for. I know many people are watching very closely to see what the Supreme Court decides in a case called Louisiana versus Calais. That's a redistricting challenge out of Louisiana. And just last night, some court watchers are saying maybe we got a preview of what the court will decide in that case. When the Supreme Court essentially stopped New York state courts from ordering New York's congressional districts to be redrawn. And for those of your listeners who haven't read Justice Samuel Alito's concurrence in that opinion, I encourage you to do so. He was absolutely on fire and absolutely correct that what the New York courts were purporting to do was require the state to redraw congressional districts based on the race of individuals in those districts, and that is blatantly unconstitutional.
Wow. So ultimately, does a decision like that set up precedent for anything that is to come?
So the decision that came out last night from the court in the New York redistricting case will not set a precedent.
Okay.
It was occurred on the court's emergency motions docket. It's in a preliminary posture. Essentially, the court intervened to stop these changes from taking place before the next election. But what the court decides in this Calais case out of Louisiana, that will set a precedent, and it will set a very important precedent, whatever the justices decide.
Excellent. Okay. Zach Smith joining us here on Florida's Voice, Senior Legal Fellow at the Heritage Foundation, heritage.org. We call it a Zach attack around here. I don't think there's any other host across the country. Zach has been on many programs across the country. I think we're the only one that gets to say Zach attack. Is that right? Is that true?
I think that's right, Drew.
Okay.
I'm waiting for my theme music.
That's right.
I get theme music,
yeah.
Come on.
I forgot again. All right. So there was another huge decision, the Banta, California decision, right? This one was big. Can you talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, so this also came to the court on its emergency motions docket, which means it's just the court intervened to keep things in place, the status quo in place, while the underlying litigation goes forward. But this is a very important decision, a very big win for parental rights. Essentially, what California had been doing is they'd issued guidance, they'd passed laws requiring school officials, teachers, to allow students to secretly transition their gender without telling the parents that this was occurring, and in fact, encouraging teachers and others to mislead parents about whether or not their child was in fact transitioning their gender. Now, think about how absurd it is, Drew, that we actually have to have a U.S. Supreme Court decision saying that school districts, school officials cannot secretly transition parents' children to a different gender without telling them. And yet that's exactly what the court said. So this case will continue to play out in the lower federal courts. But for now, this is a big win. And one other quick interesting thing I'll note, you may recall there was a case several terms ago called Mahmoud versus Taylor. This was a case out of Maryland where essentially the justices said that parents had a right to opt their children out of curriculum requirements that would go against the parents' religion. And this came about because Maryland schools were pushing a radical LGBTQ plus curriculum that many parents had a religious objection to. What the Supreme Court said yesterday in this California case involving Banta and others was that essentially the lower federal courts had misinterpreted Mahmoud. They'd applied it too narrowly, and that it could potentially apply to a broader set of cases, a broader set of claims, such as the one being brought in this California case.
Okay, so tell me if I'm wrong. It's okay, and I ask my wife. I hear it all the time. So in this case, as well as the last case, it's for this specific reason. It's out of New York. It was that specific decision based on that alone, and this one as well. But for this case, it's good, but it means that ultimately it could come to the court in a different way if somebody were to challenge it. In other words, if they were going to ignore that decision, let's just say in a different district or someplace else in the country, and then ultimately that gets brought in a new way to the court. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I'll say you're half right,
okay,
Drew.
There you go.
You are right in the sense that other districts, other officials could ignore the court's rulings and technically not have violated the court's orders. Now, I think they would be very unwise to do so because one of the factors the Supreme Court looks at in deciding to issue these emergency decisions to weigh in before the case is fully litigated is to look at the likelihood of success on the merits of the plaintiffs, of the parties challenging these decisions. And in both the New York case and the California case, the justices said that the parties challenging these decisions by the state court in New York, by California officials, that they were likely to succeed, likely to be able to prove once the litigation concludes that both of these actions in New York and California violate constitutional provisions. So that is a very good sign that if and when these cases do come to the court after being fully litigated, that they will likely end up being successfully challenged.
Nice. Okay. And last but not least, before we go, because I was perusing social media at TZ Smith there on X, and I noticed UWF. You know, Zach's a Florida guy, everybody, just so you know. And so you had a chance to go to the Capitol. What was going on there? I see the Argos. I see that is pretty impressive. Nice pictures right there.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, even though I'm a Florida Gator, go Gators, I am a new Argonaut. I've had the privilege of serving on the Board of Trustees at the University of West Florida, also for Pensacola State College, go Pirates as well. So I've learned a lot about higher education in the state of Florida. UWF, we have a new president, Manny Diaz, the former commissioner of education. He's hit the ground running, doing a great job. So it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed getting to learn a lot about University of West Florida, a lot about higher education in Florida. And I'll add go Argonauts and go Pirates to my usual go Gators.
Nice. Can you do that, Zach? Is that a thing? I guess you can. You're the Florida guy, so that's all right. It's like you spread the legal love around the state. You can use that, by the way. I'm spreading legal love to all.
I'm gonna keep a Zach attack and adopt that.
So, I've been denied. Okay, that's fine, Zach. You're allowed to do that. All right, great to see you, my friend. All the best. God bless. We'll see you soon, okay?
Thanks for having me on. Take care.
All right, we'll see you. That is Zach Smith, the great Zach Smith, Senior Legal Fellow at the Heritage Foundation, heritage.org. And it's great to have him on. We appreciate it. No, it's pretty cool. I just saw the pictures, and I saw the ARG. So D, if I'm not mistaken, I guess I got to go there. Argonauts like weren't Argonauts fighters like with a Greek or
I don't know.
Why? Because I'm looking at, all right, everybody's gonna get mad at me in the area of northeast Florida. Here it is. All right, so I just was gonna show you the picture here. I want to put this up on the screen. Because there's the UWF Argonaut or Argo or whatever it is. There, see, there's Zach, and that's what an Argo is. Like the Argonauts are like fighters. Like why am I losing? Is it Greek mythology or is it maybe not mythology, but Greeks or Romans or countrymen? Lend me your ear. I don't know, but something like that. So that's UWF, and there's the mascot. And all right. Maybe we need to. Maybe I should have Googled it before I decided to talk about that. But I just thought it was cool. It's cool looking. That's all. He's got absolutely nothing to say. He's leaving. You're leaving me hanging on the other side of the glass. Look at you.
I have no idea what's going on.
Wow, you just left me hanging. All right, somebody's gonna call from the northeastern part of the state to say, come on, man. All right, I get it. Top of the news is next.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
After my injury, I lost my sense of purpose.
I lost the ability to tuck my daughters into bed.
Homes for Our Troops build specially adapted homes with features that allow our veterans to function independently and focus on their recovery and family. This life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free thanks to our donors and supporters.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a home where I can be a dad.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a brighter future.
We need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Learn more at hfotusa.org.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA. It is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Since the dawn of time, man and wildlife have shared a connection. And hunting traditions passed down from generation to generation have connected man to the natural world. From bow and arrow to hook and bullet, as man evolved, our link to those traditions remains. Yet today, our basic instinct to provide and as part of the hunt, to conserve and appreciate the natural world has fallen under attack for the first time in human history. Misguided politicians and radical activists pushing an agenda to end hunting as we know it are leading a war against our heritage. In their misguided policies and protests, they demonize hunters and belittle our way of life. The result? Hunters leaving the sport in droves while our wildlife and ecosystems suffer the consequences as conservation funding dries up. Named after the father of the North American model for wildlife conservation, the International Order of T. Roosevelt is fighting in the arena to protect and expand the rights of hunters everywhere. We will fight back against these forces to make sure that every American has a right to hunt, enshrined in their state constitutions. We will educate the next generation in our traditions and seek to expand accessibility so that everyone can enjoy our pastimes. And we will continue to hold true to our namesake's efforts to protect, preserve, and ensure open access to our nation's wildlands. Teddy Roosevelt's vision for American conservation defines our modern hunting and conservation system. A system upheld by the idea that conservation efforts are crucial to our hunting way of life, and that hunters are crucial to successful conservation.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Look, are you still playing defense with your money? It's time to shift gears and seize the fresh opportunities this new pro-business environment has to offer. That's exactly what certified financial planner professional Alfie Townsend and the team at Advantage Retirement Group do for high net worth investors like you, helping you go on the offense with advanced tax strategies, thoughtful risk management, and forward-thinking financial planning. Imagine enjoying the retirement lifestyle you've worked so hard to achieve, all while staying one step ahead in a changing world. You've got to do it. Alfie and his team design personalized strategies to strengthen your financial foundation so you can focus on living life on your terms. Ready to find out more? Text VISIT to 239-747-7470. Again, you can call or text 239-747-7470. Schedule your one-on-one consultation today and see how a proactive approach can help you thrive no matter what the market does next. Don't wait. Call or text VISIT to 239-747-7470 right now.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
All right, anytime you want to check out the program, at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. If you're not listening to one of the great affiliates across the state, across the country, you can listen to us if you'd like on the weekends. We have a brand new program called Right Line. I host the program. We got the staff working hard to bring you national headlines. We stream live Saturday mornings, 9 to 11 a.m. at Right Line News on Facebook and X, and on radio stations across the country on the weekend. So we are busy. We're like busy beavers, except we're just like busy beavers. I don't know where else to go with that. Oh, look, we got to do the news. All right, top of the news from the Florida's Voice newsroom.
Top of the news, Florida's headlines.
I know. I don't know what that meant. All right, Anita Padilla is in the Florida's Voice newsroom. She's got the latest. What's up?
Hey there, Drew. Florida lawmakers pass a major farm bill, and a foreign influence measure sparks debate over surrogacy rules. I'll have those stories in just a moment. But first, topping the news, in Washington, members of the Republican Study Committee are demanding Senate Democrats end what they call obstruction of funding for the Department of Homeland Security. The group says that the ongoing funding lapse is leaving TSA officers and Coast Guard members without pay, and that it could weaken counterterrorism, border security, and cybersecurity operations. RSC Chairman August Pfluger says that DHS needs to be operating at full capacity, especially with what he called active threats on U.S. soil. And a congressman out of Mississippi, Michael Guest, pointing to a recent attack in Austin, Texas, saying that it is indefensible to allow the lapse to continue. Republicans are noting that the House has passed a bipartisan DHS funding bill, and now they are urging the Senate to act. Democrats have previously pushed for an immigration enforcement change as part of any agreement. Now on to that farm bill, where the Florida House has approved the 2026 Florida Farm Bill. This is Senate Bill 290, and the vote here was 94-10, so a lot of support coming out of that chamber. And Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson is calling it a major victory for Florida farmers and for families. The bill does protect the use of gas-powered farm and lawn equipment. It limits high-density development on rural and conservation lands. And it makes the Farmers Feeding Florida program permanent. It also expands agricultural land use. It supports veterinarians who still owe on their loans. And it adds public safety measures, including penalties for cheating on commercial driver exams and banning those signal jamming devices. A lot of people are very concerned about that. Senator Keith Truenow, who is a sponsor, said agriculture is the foundation of Florida's economy. And Representative Danny Alvarez, also a sponsor, said that the bill focuses on freedom, local control, and supporting farmers. That measure now heads to the governor's desk for consideration. All right, the Florida House also passed House Bill 905. This one targets foreign influence from countries of concern. This measure requires disclosure from foreign agents. It bans gifts to public officials, and it limits certain state contracts. It also bars surrogacy contracts in Florida if the party or any party is a citizen or a resident of a foreign country of concern, like China or Cuba. And supporters are saying that the change addresses national security concerns, but there were opponents there, and they did argue that the amendment was rushed, and they were worried that it could disrupt families who are trying to build homes through surrogacy. But it didn't matter because that vote ended up going through, and it is now a done deal. It now means that the House and the Senate, though, must reconcile their differences before the bill can go to the governor. All right, that's it for now. I'm Anita Padilla, the news director here at Florida's Voice. We're going to toss it back over to you.
All right, and caught and dropped. Okay. Anyway, thanks, AP. We appreciate you there in the Florida's Voice newsroom. Anytime you want to check out the stories that they are working on, flvoicenews.com. That's the website. All right. Boy, we got a lot that's happening today. A lot going on in the state. A lot of talk about what we're going to do here leading into the future in all different kinds of ways. I was talking to somebody over the weekend. We were talking about the different areas of the state and the growth and where the growth is. And then, you start to look at different roadways. I mean, pick an area anywhere in the state that has a larger population, and you can, imagine what it's going to be like when you have more growth in that area. I mean, especially the roadways, you got I-75, I-95, you got I-4, you have all these different places that you could look at. And that there are a lot of people that want to be here in the state of Florida. But one of the other things we have to start thinking about with all this growth is to try to figure out how we're going to be able to power this growth. And so I was really glad to see that there was an article there at flvoicenews.com. Danielle Lindsay joining us right now on Florida's Voice. And she is the Florida State Director at the American Conservation Coalition Action. And that is a lot to put on the business card. But doing great work over there and talking about this on the website. Now we get the opportunity to talk to her on the program. It's Drew Steele. Good to see you. How are you?
Great to see you, Drew.
Yeah, so the issue of power. And I like what you are writing here about, because to me, the conversation has to be bigger, broader, where some people are looking at the grid or they're concerned about how we're going to do things. There are other ways we can go. And the technology is there, not like the old days, but certainly I've talked about modular nuclear reactors for a long time when it comes to, for example, data centers and having that power off the grid. And you've talked about nuclear energy and how we need to talk about this, right?
Absolutely. You see, since the inception of fire, energy has been key to human life and innovation, and growing at the exponential rate that Florida is. We need to be able to sustain that population and sustain that trouble we have with the grid. We see during hurricanes, all too well in the Naples area with Hurricane Ian, out of power for weeks and weeks. By investing in nuclear energy and diversifying our power grid, we'll be able to handle those population issues, and our grid infrastructure will be able to handle it.
Yeah, and that's such an important aspect to this. If you're talking about nuclear and, whether it is nuclear, a modular that's powering a data center, or whether it's another way for us to power, it's something that we have to discuss. It's got to be in the conversation, as you've described in the article. And what about what people have been saying to you about this? The concerns that they have, because sometimes, you just have to learn more about it to understand, first of all, how many countries are using it. And second of all, how it's just different than some of what people have an image of from the past,
Absolutely. The biggest problem is the messaging. That's why I'm so glad to see this bill that I wrote the article on, sponsored by Monique Miller, House Bill 1461. It really just brings nuclear to the forefront of the conversation. I think people hear nuclear and they think Chernobyl and they think Fukushima, these mass disasters that were caused by just vast human error and a crumbling Soviet government, of which we have grown and innovated so much that those are not even concerns anymore. Nuclear is the cleanest and the safest energy on the planet, and it takes up such a small amount of land. We won't have to cut down forests and destroy wetlands to have vast solar farms, which solar is great, but if we really want to solve our energy problems in Florida and deal with this population boom, we need to be talking about, we need to be investing in nuclear energy.
Yeah. And, talking about the grid, I mean, one of the things I think is so interesting, I keep going back to data centers, if you don't mind, just because, number one, if we even talk about the past, look up the history on, for example, 3 Mile Island and see what happened there and how the talk about it wasn't the same, even in the same universe in a lot of ways, as what took place there. There wasn't a meltdown. Nothing happened. Nothing was exposed. It wasn't anything like it was described. They made it sound as if it was like a Chernobyl. You have to look at history and you got to read into it and you got to find out about this. And then think about not having, for example, if you were looking at a data center, you could see where it would be off the grid, so you don't have to worry about the cost to the consumers being on the grid. And then think about this too. What would happen if for some reason there was an issue with the grid? Could you tap into that? Could it be helpful in the community? Could people feed their power off of that as well? Which brings in a whole other topic, which is security of what we are doing here with regard to energy in the state,
Absolutely. Investing in nuclear is investing in Floridians. It's investing in citizens who have just been experiencing an absolute boom in their power bill. I'm not sure if you guys have opened your power bill lately, but it's absolutely through the roof. We have only a couple choices when it comes to where we source our power. So if we could diversify our grid, invest in the cheapest source of energy on the planet, it would be pro-Floridian. There's just no other way around it. Pro-nuclear is pro-Florida.
Well, I would encourage everybody to go to the website, go to flvoicenews.com, check out the article that she wrote and learn more about what we're discussing here, especially the House bill that's out there. And again, getting into the conversation, that's what's so important. Don't just dismiss because of things you've heard about or things that have happened in other places in the 80s. Just make sure you're looking at what's going on now with the technology, what's happening here, and just be part of the conversation. Just don't dismiss it out of hand. So, Danielle, good to see you. And we'll direct people to the website, okay? Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Drew.
All right, appreciate it. Danielle Lindsay is the Florida State Director at the American Conservation Coalition Action. And I think it's, again, an important discussion to have. It's important to check out the article and, see for yourself. The conversation, so important. All right, anytime you want to check out the stories that we are working on, like we said, flvoicenews.com, Florida's Voice. You can always check out what we're doing at Right Line News as well. Our weekend show, we've got national stories there at Right Line News on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And if you go to rightlinenews.com, you've got the website. All right, let's see if I have enough time to do this, because this popped up on my feed and I'm like, you've got to be kidding. All right, so look at this. You've got the discussions about what comes next with Iran. You have what the president has done already. You have Democrats who are looking at a war powers resolution to try to take away what the president is able to do. And you have the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries was talking about this today. And yet Bill Malugin, who just, wants to ask a question about other presidents and history and what has happened in the past. And, for example.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Back in 2011, Nancy Pelosi said that then President Obama didn't need congressional approval to bomb Libya. Now House Democrats say President Trump needs that approval to bomb Iran. What's the difference?
Whoa. Hey, before we move on, should we just double check and make sure that actually took place? Because you would hate to think that somebody at Fox News, how slanted they are, trying to bring up something like this, probably going to take something like that out of context, right? It's, what?
So, Madam Speaker, Madam Leader, you're saying that the president did not need authorization initially and still does not need any authorization from Congress on Libya?
Yes.
Thank you both.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all very much. Thanks for coming. Does anybody want some ice cream? I got lots of ice cream. So there's Nancy Pelosi back in the day. It was like, yeah, nothing to worry about here. Everything's fine. Bombing of Libya and Barack Obama. Yeah, he's good. All right. So how does the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries then answer this question? Let's find out together.
Well, obviously, Libya and the circumstances connected to that were very different than the circumstance that we face in Iran right now.
Yeah.
I mean, even understand the genesis or basis of that question, not suggesting that you're not asking it in good faith.
Libya went on for 7 months.
As I've indicated, first of all, I was not in Congress at the time. So we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now, which is a catastrophic, endless war, as Donald Trump has characterized it, without any justification that there was going to be a preeminent assault or attack on the United States of America.
Now, either that there was no threat, okay, an attack on the United States. Now, you can look at that and say, you know, he does have a point. Was there really any intelligence to suggest there would be an attack on the United States? We've talked about this. There was concerns about what Iran was going to do next. We have 47 years of history to show what kind of attacks Iran and their proxies have done to American citizens and military members here in the United States. So what about that?
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Did you know VA home loans are a key to home ownership for those who served?
The first moment I walked into my home, I could hear my footsteps echo off the back wall. The first thing I thought in my head was, man, furniture is going to be real expensive. The VA not requiring any down payment prior to buying the home allowed me to take that money I had budgeted to go out and buy furniture, food, cleaning supplies, pretty much everything I needed. Purchasing a home is scary, but ultimately it's not impossible, and they make it so that anybody can do it.
To learn more, visit va.gov/home loans.
For 25 years, the Library of Congress Veterans History Project has collected and preserved the experiences of America's heroes. From original letters to oral histories, these first-hand accounts bring history to life, one voice at a time. With over 120,000 stories collected, each reveals the courage, sacrifice, and service of our veterans, but many remain untold. Help our nation reach 125,000. Share a story. Ensure a legacy. Visit loc.gov/vets today.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
When I was 19 and I was going to shows, I was not thinking about permanent hearing loss. I wasn't thinking about tinnitus.
Sometimes my kids are having a conversation with me and that ringing starts in my ear. They're talking to me and I hear their voice, but I can't focus on what they're saying.
The audiologist, he told me that most of his clients are not old people. They're kids that have their earphones in.
I have a lot of regret about not protecting my ears sooner.
Protect your ears at all times, no matter what. It's not something you can get back.
Some journeys start small, with small pause and big purpose.
Look how little you are, you sweet girl.
Every great partnership begins with the first step.
Yeah, let's go.
Guiding them through the world so one day they can guide someone through life. With shared experience, confidence grows, and the path becomes clear. It takes time, patience, and love. But the reward lasts a lifetime.
Hey, good girl, Dad.
You don't just raise a puppy. You raise a future. Become a Dogs Inc. puppy raiser. Give a dog a purpose. Give someone hope.
Learn more at dogsinc.org.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Listen, I've lived in Southwest Florida long enough to know that when I needed countertops, you go to the best. Who's the best? Rock Solid on J&C Boulevard in Naples. First of all, Rock Solid's consultants, I wasn't really sure what I wanted, but I knew that they were knowledgeable, gave me all the information I needed to make the best decision. I love that fabrication is done on premises. It's not like they're subbing out the job to some third party, right? If you're looking for countertops, backsplash, you know where to go. Rock Solid, J&C Boulevard, Naples.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
He doesn't want to go on the sidewalk. Don't bite me, okay? Be careful. Yeah, he doesn't want to go back on the sidewalk. Right? I don't know where he came from. Oh my God. No. Hey, let's go. Go on the sidewalk. Go on the sidewalk. There you go. Yes. On the grass.
Okay, that's all. So that is a story out of Washington State. Are there any other places in the country that have beavers that are trying to cross the road? Not
that I can think of.
Like the state of Florida has alligators that cross the road. The state of New York has leftists that cross the road. And rats, right. And Washington State has beavers. So I guess there were some police officers that had to figure out what are we going to do because there was a beaver that wanted to cross the road and it didn't make a difference what anybody was doing or saying or moving in front of him. That dude was trying to cross the road and wanted to get to the other side. And
so why did the beaver cross the road?
To get to the other side. Come on, you knew the answer to that question. So there they are trying to figure it out. They're in the intersection and they're trying to help it. And I guess they finally, grabbed it. By the way, speaking of things, animals, wow, I should probably bring this tomorrow into the studio. There was a spider on my porch this morning that was, I'm holding up my hand now, was as big as my palm.
With the legs included?
With the legs included was
okay.
Okay. So now, granted, that's it wasn't tarantula-esque, but it was.
But that's not small.
It was close to it, and yeah. So we had to do a little bit of maneuvering today because it was there on the screen, and my wife went to walk outside, and she's like, "Nope." I said, "No, what?" So I look at the screen. I was like, "What is that?" And I didn't even know what it was. It was so big. It looked fake. You know when people bring like they'll have a fake spider or something like that, and they'll put it on the table and you go, that kind of thing. It looked fake. And I thought it was like a prank. Maybe my son did that. And then we ended up having to call my son because my son's all into, I told you, for those that don't know and you're joining the show for the very first time, my name is Drew Steele. This is Florida's Voice. My son has no fear of spiders, snakes, all that kind of stuff. He would come home all the time as a kid with black racers from the backyard, and he would have bite marks all over his hand that he could care less. Like he would catch them and be like, look at this. And he would catch snakes all the time. And if he got bit, he just knows instinctively, you live in Florida your whole life, you get to know the different color combinations and the way the skin is and all that. But anyway, you get used to what's poisonous and what isn't. And when he got bit, it was just like, whatever. It's just like a little pinch. He didn't care, which probably wasn't the wisest move. But he's like the spider catcher. So he just went out there and he's like, that's pretty bad. And I guess it was, I think it was a wolf spider. It was a wolf spider.
Oh, yeah, I know those.
But they look like they have fangs. So they look tarantula-esque. And I don't know. I don't think they're necessarily dangerous, the wolf spiders. I'm not sure. We did spend a whole lot of time. Well, let me rephrase that. They spent a whole lot of time looking it up and talking about it and Google lensing it or whatever you do there to try to figure it out. I spent a lot of time staying away from it because that's one of those things like, does it jump? Because it's going to jump on me. That's just how it works in life. If a spider can jump and there's 3 people on the porch, I'm the guy that gets hit with the spider. That's just the way it is. So I'm like, I'll get out of this equation. And I left them outside. And they're fine. And everybody's fine. And I think my son is like, oh, I'm keeping this for a couple of days. I'm like, oh, come on. Aren't we over this yet? No, not at all. All right.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans facing a real challenge.
I have PTSD.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to anyone,
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
but treatment can turn your life around.
Treatment has really saved my life.
To learn about PTSD and how treatment can help you, call your local VA medical center or visit ptsd.va.gov.
The best words to hear at the TSA security checkpoint? You're good to go. So check before you jet. Avoid delays at TSA security checkpoints by making sure you have an acceptable form of ID. That means a real ID, passport, or other acceptable forms of identification.
Visit tsa.gov/ID to check the full list of acceptable IDs. Avoid travel delays by checking ID requirements, and you're good to go.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele. Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Congratulations on your show.
Congratulations on your new show. Big deal, huh?
That's why shows like yours are so important. We have an independent county elected sheriff that's the head of law enforcement in Jacksonville/Duval County. And I know how to work toward making this city safe.
We can't be shy about speaking on things such as faith and politics. We have to remember, in a free society, the public square belongs to all of us.
I'm not interested in North Florida looking like Orlando or Miami. I love where we live, but I think that good jobs means that people that live in this district can stay in this district.
Fishing and hunting is funding a large part of your conservation projects in Florida, and we want to make sure that those are forever preserved.
And the problem with this industry at this point is that they actually target our youth. You can see it in their marketing strategies where it's bright colors, fun names.
And that's going to be endlessly litigated.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
What does life after service look like? Kicking back? Taking it easy? We believe it looks a little different. Fighting for all veterans. Making sure they get the benefits and care they've earned. Rebuilding communities after disaster strikes. And adapting to support today's veterans, meeting them where they are. The VFW. Still leading. Still advancing. Still serving. Get involved at stillserving.org.
I can trace family members who served from World War I to today, each one helping shape who I am. My family chose to share their stories with the Library of Congress Veterans History Project. Voices, letters, and memories that bring their service to life. Searching for their stories was easy. You can discover powerful stories too, told through the voices of America's veterans. Explore, remember, and share at loc.gov/vets.
Half of young adults are at risk of hearing damage from loud sounds. So why is this happening? We know not to bake in the sun for hours and to get our eyes checked regularly. We buckle up to save lives. And we know that smoking kills. So do poor diet choices and poor life choices. But why are we so reckless with our hearing? We take hearing for granted. Hearing damage from loud sounds is permanent, but preventable. We take common sense steps for our health every day. Let's make hearing part of it. Wear earplugs. Turn it down. Give your ears a rest. Love your ears. Learn more at hearinghealthfoundation.org. Keep listening.
Hey, it's Drew Steele, and I have to tell you, when my wife and I talked about getting new kitchen countertops for our house, we know who to call. Rock Solid Countertops and More, 2240 J&C Boulevard in Naples. And they have been absolutely amazing. Hugo and the team are the best. The workmanship has been absolutely incredible. The install was so easy. The process was perfect. Taking everything out, bringing the new stuff in. The quartz countertop is unbelievably beautiful, and my wife is super happy, I'll tell you. You know they have the best quality and selection of marble, quartz, granite, and a one-stop shop for all of your kitchen, outdoor, and bathroom needs. I've known it for years. I've lived in Southwest Florida 40 years. There was really only one place I was going to go. It's rock-solid countertops and more. I would suggest you give them a call, 596-7676. They're at 2240 JNC Boulevard in Naples. Find out what they can do for you. Countertops, cabinets, plantation shutters, they do it all. Rock solid countertops and more.
The other day, a man called saying my electric was way past due. He threatened to turn off my power if I didn't buy a gift card to pay the bill. I said, look, fella, I wasn't born yesterday. Gift cards are for gifts, not for paying bills, and I'm sure as heck not buying you a gift. So I hung up on the crook, and my lights never went out. Know the signs of scams, and leave scammers in the dust. If someone asks for a gift card as payment, it's likely a scam. A public service message from the Better Business Bureau.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or are covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Thank you for waking us all up out here, for all you do.
Thank you for giving us the voice.
For being out there helping to keep the constitutional republic. I want to thank you for your support for veterans in the military. Educating us. Standing up for conservatism. Giving us the truth.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Hey, everybody. Glad you're joining us today on Florida's Voice. My name is Drew Steele. Big D on the other side of the glass. Nina's in the breaking newsroom. And you right there at FL Voice News if you want to watch on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. And anytime you want to check out the show after hours, Florida's Voice with Drew Steele, the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get it. We keep an eye on the latest from D.C. and what has been the discussion with Iran and what's going to take place next. We know that the Secretary of State has been getting grilled all day today by a media that wants you to believe that not only is there no plan at all, but there's a lot of criticism from even the press, where even earlier today, the Secretary of State was like, seriously? Really? I know you're asking questions, but let's talk about stuff here.
What exactly was the threat? Several Democrats criticized what you said and argued that
the question is, several Democrats criticize. They're going to always criticize. We've been doing this for years, guys. They come out. I'll tell you right now, they're going to come out after the briefing and say, we didn't hear anything. We have more questions than answers. You mark my words. But we still do these briefings. Go ahead.
Yeah, we still do the briefings, even though Democrats are going to walk into the briefing. Just remember something. Here's the Democrat MO. This is what they do. Yes, okay, go ahead, Bernie Sanders.
This is what you do.
Right, it's what you do. What Bernie Sanders and other Democrats, well, he's not a Democrat, but you know what I'm saying. What they do is they will go into these briefings. They'll go into secure areas like these SCIFs, and they'll get information on how, for example, Donald Trump was not in cahoots with Putin and Russia to rig the 2016 election. And then they'll come out and they'll say, oh, I can't believe the information we saw. What did you see? Well, it's top secret. I really can't tell you. But the president is all over the information. Well, of course he's all over the information because he's the president. And that's the subject of what we're talking about. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, right? So they'll twist things around. And Secretary of State knows the game. Like he said, it's like, seriously, come on now. Democrats are always going to criticize. The President of the United States today had a lot to say when he was with the German Chancellor. And I just want to play a bunch of clips of some of the things that he was talking about. The president truly believes that we were stopping imminent attacks. And look, no matter what, you got a small window of time to get something done finally after 47 years with Iran. Not an endless war, not even boots on the ground, but targeted strikes to take out capabilities, not only when it comes to nuclear weapons, but also attacks, missile strikes on our on their neighbors, on Israel, on our military installations. Go ahead.
Iran, if we don't stop them, or if we didn't stop them, or if we didn't start, they've been decimated. But if we didn't do what we're doing right now, you would have had a nuclear war, and they would have taken out many countries, because you know what? They're sick people. They're mentally ill, sick people. They're angry. They're crazy. They're sick. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was the end of it. What a way to end it. Like just like that. Some of the other things that the president talked about. Look, these are the issues that have to be discussed. They need to be front and center. When you have Democrats who, of course, are going to lie or obfuscate or kind of stretch the truth just enough to get the media on board with them when it comes to the information they get at a briefing or a skiff, then you have to understand that when you have all of this swirling, maybe we need to go back to a few years ago when we had a media who didn't seem curious at all about some of the things, for example, that Barack Obama was doing.
The other thing was Barack Hussein Obama made maybe the worst deal I've ever seen, because he gave all power in the Middle East to Iran. He went the exact opposite way, and I terminated that. If I didn't terminate that deal, they would be sitting with a massive nuclear weapon 3 years ago, which would have been used already on Israel at least, and other countries also. And we wouldn't be talking about it right now. But if I didn't terminate the deal that Obama made, giving them everything, including plane loads of cash. Do you remember the airplane flew over there? It was a Boeing 757. There was two of them, loaded. They took out all the seats. It was loaded with green cash. So much cash that it was in Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. They got all the cash from all the banks. They put it, and they flew it to Iran.
Yeah, they're Democrats. They're better than us. So we have to get used to that. That Barack Obama, Joe Biden, in a lot of ways. Well, maybe not Joe Biden. But Barack Obama and Democrats are better than you. So anything that you're thinking that we should have done, or we could have done, or what in the world was happening in the moment, it doesn't matter, because they're Democrats and they're always better than you. So never, ever forget that. By the way, a little bit on Barack Obama and Iran and the pallets of cash and, you know, the surprise by, I guess, no one in the media who wanted to necessarily bring this up at the time. I'm listening to, and we played this yesterday, Barack Obama, who had an idea of why we would give them pallets of cash and what actually would happen with the said pallets of cash.
It is true that if Iran lives up to its commitments, it will gain access to roughly $56 billion of its own money.
Yeah, it was a lot more than that.
But the notion that this will be a game changer, with all this money funneled into Iran's pernicious activities.
Yeah, that's what we knew was going to happen, and exactly what did happen.
Misses the reality of Iran's current situation. Iran's leaders have raised the expectations of their people that sanctions relief will improve their lives.
Tell that to the 35,000 that were killed by the regime just in the past few weeks. Those that wanted the regime gone, and yeah.
Even a repressive regime like Iran's cannot completely ignore those expectations.
They did. They did.
And that's why our best analysts expect the bulk of this revenue to go into spending that improves the economy and benefits the lives of the Iranian people.
Yeah, that didn't happen. That didn't happen at all. And, you know, their best experts, can we stay away from the best experts that Democrats have out there?
Dr. Fauci, give us vaccines.
Yeah, we have a lot of things to think about with regard to the experts and who they are and what they say. Yeah, no thanks. So that was in 2015, where Barack Obama was convinced that, listen, this was a good deal. This is a good thing to do with Iran because, you know, they're going to give it back to the people. And no, they gave it to the people, but not what you were thinking. Now, here's something that the president mentioned today that I was very happy to hear, because I mentioned it yesterday, and I'm glad he followed up on this. You know, the UK decided that they were not going to help us at all. Diego Garcia, to be able to use that as a launching place for some of the attacks. They would not give us the permission to be there on Diego Garcia. We have also some things that one of the MPs there in the UK said that I'm going to play in just a second, but he was bringing up the UK and kind of ripping into the leader there, the prime minister.
And so has UK. Now, the second one is shocking, but this is not the age of Churchill.
Oh, he was talking about Spain, and he was talking about the UK, both of which, well, in different ways, denying us help. And I'll get to Spain in just a second. In this case, we're talking about the UK.
I will say the UK has been very, very uncooperative with that stupid island that they have, that they gave away and took a 100-year lease, having to do with perhaps indigenous people claiming the island that never even saw the island before. What's that all about? And they ruin relationships. It's a shame.
Yeah, and so think about this. Again, we talked about it yesterday, and I'm going to play it again, but we'll move on. The UK was willing, as one of our staunchest allies, to ruin the relationship. Why? Why would they do that? Why would the UK say, no, we can't be part of this? And I've got the evidence of them doing it, again, from yesterday. We played this audio of an MP who was talking to, I believe it was the BBC, a Prime Minister and UK Secretary of Defense, repeating over and over again how we had nothing to do with this.
In terms then of those developments in the UK government's position, do you back what America and Israel have done? It's been condemned by the United Nations. Many countries have said it's illegal. Some of your colleagues have said it is illegal. Does the government back what they've done?
Britain played no part in the strikes on Iran. We share, however, the primary aim of all allies in the region and the US that Iran should never have a nuclear weapon.
But do you believe this action was within international law?
Well, we play no part in the strikes. We just didn't participate, and it is for...
Let me just stop. It goes on for 2 minutes, continuing to say that. And I mentioned it yesterday, and people said it to me. They sent it to me, and they're like, wait a second. How could they do this? So who did they pick over the United States? It's almost as if you have people who have come into the country, into the UK, who don't necessarily like the laws there in the UK, might even set up areas where, you know, we have a town here, we have a place here, and we do things differently. And if you bring the police department in here, you might as well leave because we'll handle everything on our own. And said individuals who were in the country would be very, very upset if they thought that the UK had a part in going after Iran and the mullahs, and that there could be a lot of trouble in the country, maybe in Manchester, maybe in London, maybe in other places where there could be fighting on the streets of the UK because of the help that they would give to the United States. And that's probably exactly what went down. And you're a defeated country. You're defeated. You're defeated from within. because of who you decided to let into the country and the fears that you have as to what could possibly happen if you do the right thing. That's a problem. And the president recognized that. And I'm glad he said something about it yesterday. Just a little earlier today. But yesterday we played the audio of the UK minister there. All right, what else do we have going on here at Florida's Voice? Hit me. Yeah, I want to hit on a couple of Florida stories if you don't mind. Scheduled to join us is State Senator Jonathan Martin. I wanted to ask a little bit about that clip that I played a little earlier and the Florida Senate committee passing a bill holding teachers' unions accountable. It's stellar. And I wanted him to explain it. So he's scheduled to join us. He did mention a little earlier that he's taking some votes. He's in some committees right now, and so he might be a little late. So apparently he's late. We'll see when he drops in. But some other stories that are out there. Who's running for Tampa Mayor in 2027? The election is a year away. More candidates are expected to join the race soon. Now, if you're across the state of Florida and you're listening to the sound of my voice and you're listening to me talk about this story and you're like, I don't know, I don't live in Tampa. So why do I care about the race, the mayoral race in Tampa? Oh, you care. Trust me, you care. I'll explain. This is from the Tampa Bay Times. A fresh face has joined the swarm of candidates competing in Tampa's 27 mayoral race. So there's an individual who has now joined the fray, if you will. A year out of the March 2nd election, 8 others have officially filed to run for the seat held by Mayor Jane Castor, who must leave. Oh, due to term limits. I'm sorry. I should have added the due to term limits. I'm just saying that she must leave. They include current and former elected officials, a popular food influencer, and a candidate running to become the city's first openly transgender mayor. Yeah, but are they qualified? That's all I care about. The rest of it doesn't matter. Are they qualified? That's it. For any of them. Even the food the food guy. Or gal. Oh, I don't know.
Please
all right.
do not use gendered language to address everyone.
I'm just saying, if you're a food influencer and you're running for the mayor of the city of Tampa, if you've got enough qualifications to do it, fine. I don't need to know the rest. Anyway, okay, we move on. But several people expected to steer the race, including former mayor Bob Buckhorn, who has publicly eyed his old job for months, has yet to announce. Now, Bob Buckhorn, for people who don't know, we're told that he's a moderate Democrat. And the reason why we're told that he's a moderate Democrat is because in a couple of state races, he decided that he wasn't going to endorse specific candidates. He didn't endorse anybody in the races. And there were Democrats that were in the race, and he decided not to do that. So somehow that makes Bob Buckhorn a moderate. See how that works? That's not a thing. That's not how that works. But for Democrats in the state, I guess it is. All right. And so they go through the long list of people. You've got Buckhorn, possibly. You've got 2 Tampa City Council members who might capture the Buckhorn vote. You've got a council member who announced a bid in February. So you have all of these people, right, that are going to be running. We have a whole list. But, you get down to the end of all of this. And one of the things you find out, apparently, I am told, is that this is a nonpartisan race. That's what's going on in the city of Tampa, the mayoral. Now, you may think, I don't get it. What's the big deal? Oh, it's huge. And this can be found all across the state of Florida. Bob Buckhorn is a moderate Democrat. Why? And I just told you why. Oh, okay. What about the rest of it? Some of these other candidates who will be out there who may or may not proudly tell you that they are leftists. I don't know of any of the names that have popped up here that are Republicans. I can tell you that. None of them, not one, have any indication that there are Republican leanings in their background. I don't see any. I haven't heard of any. I looked it up today as I was getting ready to talk about this. Don't see any. The point is that on the heels of some polling that we heard about and I talked about yesterday, and that we have been mentioning here in the state of Florida, and how we have a 1.5 million vote advantage, Republicans over Democrats, in the state of Florida. It is absolutely, positively incredible. It is R plus double 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, like every month. Every month since February of 25, it has been going up and up and up. It's incredible the amount of Republicans that we have, people that are affiliating as Republican, and the gains that we see. Obviously, great governance. Obviously, the legislature. We do great things here. And at the end of the day, none of this is possible unless the things that are talked about come to fruition and they are tangible in the results. Talk is cheap. It's about the actions. And then once you put those actions into play, that they do what you say they're going to do. And that's what the governor has done. And that's what the legislature has done. There's no doubt about it. It's been amazing. Okay? So we have these incredible numbers that every single solitary state that has Republicans in it, and that's I think that's all of them, right? Doesn't every state have a Republican? I think even
last time I checked.
Yeah, I think so. Even though, like, electorally, you look at the maps and you're like, you guys have any Republicans here? It's like you don't have one congressional district in the whole state. Is there anybody here? That kind of thing. But the one thing about this part of the story is, how do you break through? And I've said it a million times, and if you listen to this program on a regular basis, you know where I'm going with this. Nonpartisan races, the local races that all of a sudden become the statewide races, that all of a sudden become the national races. You already have Democrats who are trying to convince you that the candidates that they're going to put out there in 2028 are moderates. They're already positioning themselves that way. They're going to do it here in this state. Do not trust anybody, especially in a nonpartisan race where they don't want to tell you. If you're a Republican, they're not going to tell you how they have these great, fantastic conservative values, because they don't. And if you ask them about some of their votes in the past, or you ask them about those conservative values, they'll tell you that they don't have to talk about it. It's ridiculous. It's a nonpartisan race. Partisanship has nothing to do with them. Do you really think so? At your workplace, in your house, with your family, during Christmas? Are you really sure about that? That there's no partisanship? Dee, did you know that Christmas, Thanksgiving, what's the big holiday that's coming up soon? I don't know, St. Patrick's Day? I don't know, whatever it is. You get together with your family. Did you know that when you get together with your family, no doubt about it, because they're family members, it's a nonpartisan family. Every single family in the United States. There's no partisanship. Yep, every single one. There's no partisanship whatsoever. Now, you might say, that's ridiculous. Of course there is. And you're right. Because if you have partisanship in your family and you can't talk about Trump until Uncle Al walks out the door, you're telling me that if we have a race in Tampa or any other city, that when it comes to partisanship, we shouldn't even talk about it. We shouldn't bring it up. It's not here. What planet are you on? Like, literally, what planet do you live on? Or what are you doing?
Marijuana?
Possibly. So I just saw that, and I just want to remind everybody how important it is that you be careful and you vet candidates. You vet every single person. I don't care if they're Republicans. You vet them. Just because they have an R after their name doesn't mean they stand with you. Doesn't. Sorry. Not always. I mean, most of the time. But you've got to vet. You got to know. So I think it's important. Because there are people in this state that are going to try to convince you that there's something they're not. Because if you're 1.5 million Republicans ahead in the state of Florida, you're going to have to prove to people, you're going to have to fake people out to believe that you're something that you're not, even in local races. In Tampa, I don't know what you're going to do in Tampa. I have no idea what the next mayor will be like. Maybe it'll be the food influencer guy. I don't know. We'll see. I wish I could find out. I got to find out more about the, oh, there it is. All right. His name is Carl Anthony. He's a food influencer. He's got 146,000 followers on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. He's an East Tampa native. And his priorities include expanding mental health initiatives, creating community partnerships with Tampa Police Department, and supporting small businesses. Well, that doesn't sound so bad. But I'd like to know a little more. If you don't mind, can I vet? Who knows? So, we'll see. Just wanted to put that out there. All right. Top 5 audio clips of the day is next.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey, Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
After my injury, I lost my sense of purpose.
I lost the ability to tuck my daughters into bed.
Homes for Our Troops build specially adapted homes with features that allow our veterans to function independently and focus on their recovery and family. This life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free, thanks to our donors and supporters.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a home where I can be a dad.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a brighter future.
We need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Learn more at hfotusa.org.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA, is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Since the dawn of time, man and wildlife have shared a connection. And hunting traditions passed down from generation to generation have connected man to the natural world. From bow and arrow to hook and bullet, as man evolved, our link to those traditions remains. Yet today, our basic instinct to provide and as part of the hunt, to conserve and appreciate the natural world has fallen under attack for the first time in human history. Misguided politicians and radical activists pushing an agenda to end hunting as we know it are leading a war against our heritage. In their misguided policies and protests, they demonize hunters and belittle our way of life. The result? Hunters leaving the sport in droves while our wildlife and ecosystems suffer the consequences as conservation funding dries up. Named after the father of the North American model for wildlife conservation, the International Order of T. Roosevelt is fighting in the arena to protect and expand the rights of hunters everywhere. We will fight back against these forces to make sure that every American has a right to hunt enshrined in their state constitutions. We will educate the next generation in our traditions and seek to expand accessibility so that everyone can enjoy our pastimes. And we will continue to hold true to our namesake's efforts to protect, preserve, and ensure open access to our nation's wildlands. Teddy Roosevelt's vision for American conservation defines our modern hunting and conservation system. A system upheld by the idea that conservation efforts are crucial to our hunting way of life, and that hunters are crucial to successful conservation.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Look, are you still playing defense with your money? It's time to shift gears and seize the fresh opportunities this new pro-business environment has to offer. That's exactly what certified financial planner professional Alfie Townsend and the team at Advantage Retirement Group do for high net worth investors like you, helping you go on the offense with advanced tax strategies, thoughtful risk management, and forward-thinking financial planning. Imagine enjoying the retirement lifestyle you've worked so hard to achieve, all while staying one step ahead and in a changing world. You've got to do it. Alfie and his team design personalized strategies to strengthen your financial foundation so you can focus on living life on your terms. Ready to find out more? Text VISIT to 239-747-7470. Again, you can call or text 239-747-7470. Schedule your one-on-one consultation today and see how a proactive approach can help you thrive no matter what the market does next. Don't wait. Call or text VISIT to 239-747-7470 right now.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
All right, anytime you want to watch it, FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. And anytime you want to check out the show after hours, Florida's Voice with Drew Steele, the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get it. All right, it is time for the top 5 audio clips of the day. We do it each and every day at this time. It's my top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is Drew's top 5. Number 5.
I just want to say I am more fearful than ever after this briefing that we may be putting boots on the ground and that troops from the United States may be necessary to accomplish objectives that the administration seems to have, but I also am no more clear on what the priorities are going to be of the administration.
Hey, can I just stop right there? Remember a little while ago? Hey, D, remember a little while ago I was on this radio show called Florida's Voice, heard across the state of Florida, and streaming live there at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. Remember I was on that program a little while ago, and I was mentioning about how Democrats are going to, as others have said, that the Democrats were going to go into the briefing there about Iran and the next steps and the moves by this administration. And no matter what was said back there, even with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, saying this as well, that no matter what they hear, it's going to be negative because Trump and they're going to try to spin it a certain way. Remember when I did that at that time? I think it wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, that was this show.
Yeah, that was this show. That's right. Well, there it is. So they just got out of the briefing, and there's Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat. Don't blame him. Well, I guess you could. I'm more fearful now than ever. We may be putting boots on the ground. Troops from the U.S. may be necessary to accomplish objectives. Yeah, but maybe they're not. And maybe there is a plan, and maybe it won't happen. And maybe you shouldn't be fearful. And maybe it won't be necessary. I know, but if you're a Democrat and you've got the TDS going on, that's crazy. I understand. Okay, yeah, you just you got to stop.
Number 4.
So, Mr. President, this is back in. Think of the year. Look at the year, so you make sure you're answering the question.
2001.
Did you have a phone in 2000? Did you have? He's asking you, was this your BlackBerry, or did you share this BlackBerry with him?
Well, I've been out of office then 9 months.
Did you have a phone, Mr. President?
I don't think I did. I don't, anyway. But the truth is, I don't remember. I just know that I did not email.
Okay. So you did not email. How often do you send emails? Or did you send emails?
Have you ever sent an email, Mr. President?
I sent one email to John Glenn, Senator John Glenn, when he was in space at age 77. And I sent an email to the men and women aboard a U.S. ship in the Adriatic during the Kosovo War.
Have you sent any other emails, Mr. President? He's asking.
Since then, I'm not sure I've sent one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this. Now, on the believability scale coming from the former President Bill Clinton, I would say that the scale is in the toilet, I would say, or just gone. Like the believability scale, like it's broken. It's been broken for a lot of years. So Bill Clinton, former president, House Oversight Committee, Chappaqua, and all the clips that are out on social media, probably have seen in the past 24 hours. We played some yesterday as it was breaking, because it's out there now, 4.5 hours. You could see it all, and everybody's clipping it up and like, whoa. So that's Bill Clinton. When asked about having a cell phone and communications in 2001, he doesn't remember having a phone, like, at all in 2001. Like, you didn't have one? Like a BlackBerry or any kind of communication? All right, nothing. So like the BlackBerries that Hillary Clinton smashed with the hammer. Remember that whole thing with the hammer? And it's like, all right.
I don't feel no ways tired.
Maybe you're a little bit after smashing those things with the hammer. So then he gets asked, he gets asked about whether or not he sent emails. In the past, he said he sent one to John Glenn when he was in space, and he sent one to a ship during the Kosovo War. And since then, he's not sure he sent one. It's 2026. Is it possible that Bill Clinton, since 2001 or any time in between or even before, like he doesn't know how to say?
Is it possible? Yes.
Okay. How? I mean,
is it likely? No.
All right. Well, there's that. That was just one of those weird, I got a hard time believing Bill Clinton on anything. You should be that way. And that was just, you didn't have a phone. I don't have a phone. You don't do email. I don't do email. What else should I say? Hey, tell me what else to say, because I'm not really sure.
Number 3.
Yeah, as far as I know, I think I would be the only Democrat to vote it against that. And I just don't understand where I'm at. As far as I know, every single senator says we must never allow Iran to acquire a nuclear facility and a weapon. And I think we all agree on that. Why can't you just acknowledge, hey, that's really happened now? Then now they can't acquire those anymore. Why can't we just acknowledge that was a good thing and that the world's better now and more safe after what's happened? So if that requires me as a Democrat to just condemn those kinds of things, I think we've all been saying that we want to make sure that they can never make Iranian a nuclear power.
So that is Senator John Fetterman, who's been going on the Fox News a lot lately. Again, don't fall in love with the first lefty that kind of sort of says something that you like. But there he is, splitting with Democrats on the looming war powers vote, as Democrats are pushing for it. Anything they can do to stop the President of the United States from doing anything, presidential or otherwise. It's crazy how that works. And he's like, yeah, I'm not with them. I don't understand where they are and why they're doing things like that. And well, it's really easy for me to explain to you, sir. You're a Democrat, and that's what your party does, because TDS. And yeah, you should do something. You should leave.
Number 2.
You rule out the deployment of ICE or CBP to polling places this November.
There are no plans to have ICE officers at our polling locations. And
I'm glad to hear that, but would you rule it out? Would you say it will not happen?
Do you plan on illegal aliens voting in our elections?
I love that clip. That is one of my favorite clips this year. That is the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem on Capitol Hill being grilled by Democrats, of course. I mean, what else are they going to do about a lot of different issues? And one of them had to do with the possibility that we might deploy ICE to polling places this November. Now, you and I, hey, D, let me ask you this question. If there were ICE agents at a polling location when you went to go vote in November, Would you care? Would it matter to you? Would you be like, oh, all right, yeah, like, would you be like, hello, and then just kind of walk in and go vote, right? Because
hey, a secure election.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, they're not going to stop you from doing it unless you're here illegally. So the point is that Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, you're going to rule out the deployment of ICE to polling places this November? We got no plans. No, but I'm asking you, going to rule it out. Why? Do you plan on illegals voting in our elections? That is a stellar answer and the right answer. And again, really, is that what people are? I mean, Democrats are beside themselves about just about everything right now in this country. And so are they walking around every day, walking in their local grocery store and talking to their friends about ICE at polling places? Probably. Again, you should get a hobby.
Number 1.
To us by the Supreme Court, and we have the right. As an example, we talked about Spain. I could tomorrow stop, or today, even better, stop everything having to do with Spain. All business having to do with Spain. I have the right to stop it. Embargoes, do anything I want with it, and we may do that with Spain. What do you think?
Well, sir, I think we're going to talk about it with you. I know that you have strong power. The Supreme Court clarified. We know you can use it, and if you need to use it to assure national and economic security, we'll do it.
Scott, do you have an opinion?
Sir, I agree. The Supreme Court reaffirmed your ability to implement an embargo, and as we've talked, from your first term, the Section 301s and the 232s have withheld more than 4,000 lawsuits, and USTR and Commerce are going to begin investigations, and we'll move forward with those.
And we'll move forward with those. So what is that all about? Well, that's the President of the United States today. They're in the White House with the German Chancellor and a lot of members of the cabinet together. And the discussion was about Spain. I don't know if you know what's going on with Spain, but the president's talking about cutting off trade with Spain, as he was saying, like, we could do that if we want to. I mean, they're failing to meet their defense spending commitments, refusing to allow forces to use Spanish bases to support operations that are going on in these strikes against Iran. So what's going on here? And the president's like, I don't know if you know this, but that Supreme Court decision that you all thought was great with regard to tariffs actually makes my job easier when it comes to tariffs, because others are going to withhold and withstand anything that comes against them, the 232s and the like. And not just that, but hey, if I want to put an embargo on Spain, it sounds crazy, but yeah, I mean, listen, if I want to do that, I mean, if this is where they want to go, then I guess we can go there.
Drew's Top 5.
But look, at the end of the day, which we're near the end of the show, but not yet, we got time. But at the end of the show, day, you know, you're looking at a president who's asking very legitimate questions. Why is it that the UK keeps talking over and over again about how they had nothing to do? We got nothing to do with those strikes against Iran, unless it's because your country has been taken over and you're being held now in a country that is yours, but is being controlled by others that have come through this open migration that you've been doing. And they would be very, very upset if you said, yeah, we were part of the bombing and the killing of Khamenei and the clerics. And that's not a good place to be. And so your ally, the United States, we're not going to really help you too much. You got Spain, who's doing the same thing. Why are they doing it? You know, they're not paying their share when it comes to NATO, and there's questions about why they are not helping us with these bases to be able to conduct operations in Spain. We're an ally, aren't we? Now, there was a time in the past where you just didn't say those things. That's a terrible way to be. That's not how you do this. Well, times have changed a little bit, and people would like to know the answers to those questions. Like, we should be open and honest with the American people as to what is happening, maybe with Spain, for example, why they're doing this, and the UK. Because with friends like you, I was going to say like friends like yours, but that's not the right way to say it, D. And so I stopped myself, and then I said, yo, which is very strange. Forgive me. But if we have friends like you, allies, can we talk about our relationship? Because that seems very odd. So that's just a little bit of what has been happening today. What else before we hit the break? All right. Anytime you want to call, 866-588-8303. Is there one other? I guess we could probably play a little bit more of. Oh, I got to play this. All right. I think we have enough time to do it. We were talking yesterday about how the protesters showed up in Times Square right on time after the bombings there in Iran, and they had all the pre-made signs and everything else. And it's like, how do you all coordinate so fast? Well, Brecca Stahl is, I guess, with the Daily Wire, and she was there talking to people on the streets of New York, like, how did you coordinate all of this so quickly? It's amazing how you do that. Do you talk to each other?
How'd you hear about this protest?
We have group chats where we communicate, like independently, organize, picket, make signs, organize. Like we have like structure. We have like trust. A lot of us like know each other's real names. We like know each other's information. If God forbid something were to happen, we know where to disperse and then meet up after. Like we all do our part.
We all do our part. Really? So is that how that works? I thought these were just spontaneous protests. I thought they were just people that were very upset and they're spontaneously going out on the streets and having these pre-prepared signs and people rolling in trucks with everything they need to see? The mask is off, so to speak.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Did you know VA home loans are a key to home ownership for those who served?
The first moment I walked into my home, I could hear my footsteps echo off the back wall. The first thing I thought in my head was, man, furniture is going to be real expensive. The VA not requiring any down payment prior to buying the home allowed me to take that money I had budgeted to go out and buy furniture, food, cleaning supplies, pretty much everything I needed. Purchasing a home is scary, but ultimately it's not impossible, and they make it so that anybody can do it.
To learn more, visit va.gov/home loans.
For 25 years, the Library of Congress Veterans History Project has collected and preserved the experiences of America's heroes. From original letters to oral histories, these first-hand accounts bring history to life, one voice at a time. With over 120,000 stories collected, each reveals the courage, sacrifice, and service of our veterans, but many remain untold. Help our nation reach 125,000. Share a story. Ensure a legacy. Visit loc.gov/vets today.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
When I was 19 and I was going to shows, I was not thinking about permanent hearing loss. I wasn't thinking about tinnitus.
Sometimes my kids are having a conversation with me and that ringing starts in my ear. They're talking to me and I hear their voice, but I can't focus on what they're saying.
The audiologist, he told me that most of his clients are not old people. They're kids that have their earphones in.
I have a lot of regret about not protecting my ears sooner.
Protect your ears at all times, no matter what. It's not something you can get back.
Some journeys start small, with small pause and big purpose.
Look how little fly, you sweet girl.
Every great partnership begins with the first step.
Yeah, let's go.
Guiding them through the world so one day they can guide someone through life. With shared experience, confidence grows, and the path becomes clear. It takes time, patience, and love. But the reward lasts a lifetime.
Hey, good girl, Dad.
You don't just raise a puppy. You raise a future. Become a Dogs Inc. puppy raiser. Give a dog a purpose. Give someone hope.
Learn more at dogsinc.org.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Listen, I've lived in Southwest Florida long enough to know that when I needed countertops, you go to the best. Who's the best? Rock Solid on JNC Boulevard in Naples. First of all, Rock Solid's consultants, I wasn't really sure what I wanted, but I knew that they were knowledgeable, gave me all the information I needed to make the best decision. I love that fabrication is done on premises. It's not like they're subbing out the job to some third party, right? You're looking for countertops, backsplash? You know where to go. Rock Solid, JNC Boulevard, Naples.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
All right, anytime you want to watch it, FL Voice News, YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. A lot of people talking right now about Tim Tebow on Capitol Hill and what he has been talking about with senators this afternoon, and he is concerned about child trafficking and some of what has been happening in this country. Was there a lot of charts, a lot of things that were being discussed. Just wanted to play a little bit of what he said today on Capitol Hill.
What just the Interpol images show, what we're looking at in terms of content of unidentified exploited children by the numbers. 84% of the images were of actual sexual abuse, not simulated, but actual. 47% of
All right, a lot of this is just so graphic, but he was pointing at a map of the United States and red dots all over the country. And I want you to hear this.
With these pinpoints all over it. Can you tell us what this image depicts?
Yeah, that's a DOJ database, and every one of those red dot maps is a unique IP address that is downloaded, shared, or distributing child rape images, almost all under the age of 12. And that's just a 6-month screenshot of it, and there are over 338,000 on there. And if you could also look, there's blue dots on there. You can't really see them, but the blue ones are the ones that are under investigation.
In a sea of red.
Isn't that a problem of what we're talking about?
It's unbelievable. It's overwhelming. So let me ask you, against all of this backdrop, tell us about Operation Renewed Hope, what it is, how it works to help kids who are unidentified, who are trapped in abuse. What does Operation Renewed Hope do?
Well, it does a few things. It's bringing together law enforcement and victim identification specialists from all over the world to work together in the same room with the best technology and the best training. And it's amazing what happens when you do that, to be able to see the results. Operation Renewed Hope 1 had 316 identifications. The next one, Renewed Hope 2, had 417 identifications. Renewed Hope 3 had 387 identifications. And with all of that, over 550 of the boys and girls have been safeguarded. And we're praying that Operation Renewed Hope 4 blows the first 3 away.
Wow. So that was Tim Tebow on Capitol Hill today. And I bring it up because a lot of what was happening in the Senate Judiciary Committee and the talk about what the DHS Secretary is doing, Kristi Noem, you knew that the Democrats were going to attack her in any way possible, every way possible. And some of the attacks were just uncalled for. And Senator Eric Schmidt put it so well, because Senator Blumenthal, he was asking all the victims of ICE to stand up in the room. And it was this moment that, yes, that's what he said. So Democrat Blumenthal said, all the victims of ICE stand up there in the committee room. Well, you had Senator Schmidt who had something to say about that.
We're having folks stand up. I would have Laken Riley stand up. I would have Kayla Hamilton stand up. I would have Jocelyn Ngari stand up. I would have Rachel Morin stand up. I would have the beautiful sons and daughters who were murdered by illegal immigrants stand up, but they can't because they're dead. They were murdered by illegal immigrants that were led into this country by Joe Biden. And I think it's important to set the stage, since we're having this oversight hearing, to set the stage how we got here.
And he goes on for another 2 minutes to talk about, we're up against the hard break, but he goes on for another 2 minutes to set up what everybody knows right now and how we got to this place. Tim Tebow talking about child trafficking and other things that are horrible things that are going on in this country. You have Eric Schmidt talking about this issue as well, and Democrats going after the cabinet.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans.